Oh my God, we're live. This is real. Hi,
We
I'm
are
Adam
live.
DeLeo, and this other guy is someone else.
I'm Tom Woodley.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm Tom Woodley. How's it going?
and welcome to the first episode, the premiere episode of Difficult Terrain. Wow,
Indeed.
we have worked a long, hard time to get here, and I'm actually I just can't believe that we're pulling this off. It's so cool, and thank you all for joining us, for being here, and hopefully years from now, when this show is running itself into the ground, you'll be like, I was one of the first people to actually see it. Um, so Tom
Right.
and I have been bosom buddies for 20 years. We no we never actually did a production of Bosom Buddies, but I think that there was some room for that.
We tried.
Um,
We
yeah,
tried. Yeah.
it didn't work. But so what we're bringing you now is what we hope is a whole new level of Dungeons and Dragons experience. This would be like level 21, and Tom's going to
Let's
tell you
hope.
what that means.
Heroic tier. Yeah. So real quick, thanks, Adam. To set the stage, in case you're showing up here and you don't know what we're doing. Difficult terrain. This is an entirely new concept in D&D. We hope you enjoy it. For one thing, both Adam and I will be your dungeon masters. So that is correct. You have two dungeon masters at once. How about that?
Yeah, it's because I mean we're
And
basically like we're half a person really without each other. So yeah.
that's not inaccurate. Yeah. And we have five players.
Yep, we got
And
we got an amazing cast, including Maximilian Clark, Danielle Cohn, Pontius Hanzo Daga, Carla Lerner Montero, and Soren Kissel. And they're all fantastic, as you're going to see. And they're all playing not just one character each. Oh, no, that's too easy.
no, no,
No, nope, not
okay,
just one, not just two, not
really.
just three, but as many as
Hmm.
four characters at once across four different adventuring parties, all exploring the same homebrew custom game world.
That Adam, hold the phone, Adam, because you're talking about five players playing four characters each. I'm no mathematician, but that's like 100 characters at least. How is that possible? First of all, that's totally different than anything we've seen in D&D, right? How are the players going to do that? How are we going to keep it all straight as the dungeon masters? Isn't that going to be just like a total train wreck?
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see, and it's going to be exciting for me and you too because we shot this. So we shot this before the coronavirus locked everything down.
That's true. We
So
did.
I honestly have only like the foggiest memory of what happened. I think it's not a train wreck, but I guess we'll have to see.
Oh, it's definitely not a train wreck. That was me being facetious. Yeah, so we did shoot these back right before COVID knocked on the door. So miraculous timing there. So what you will see is some good, honest people sitting around a table in the same room, Dungeons and Dragons action.
Yeah.
The episodes are about 2 hours long, and they are going to be on YouTube tomorrow or Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. We'll send out a link to everyone in case you have to miss any of the action.
All right. And before we get going, we want to take a moment to mention our nonprofit partner, the Roots Project Inc., who we are raising money for. With everything that's going on in the world, we really wanted to connect with an excellent nonprofit that fuels the conversation of diversity and inclusion. And the Roots Project is really just phenomenal. So every summer, the Roots Project, they run a camp called Project Roots. It's an immersive social justice and human relations experience for high school students. And every summer, they bring kids together from all walks of life for a residential program exploring equity, identity, and justice. Delegates learn to challenge bias and oppression, forming bonds of community that shape them for the rest of their lives. They also have a lot of fun in the process. So the Roots Project believes that money should never be a barrier for kids that want to attend the camp. So they offer a sliding scale for their participating schools. And Roots is a completely volunteer staffed, registered 501c3 charity. So any donations we can get for them will go directly towards subsidizing room, board, and transportation for low income students. Now, at Difficult Terrain, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and Tom and the whole cast, we couldn't be prouder to partner with the Roots Project in providing enriching, educational, fun, and transformative experiences for the kids of today and the leaders of tomorrow. And we would like to invite all of you to join us on this adventure. So, if you have the wherewithal, please go to inclusiveroots.org/donate and give what you can. We're going to flash the link in the chat throughout the episode, and throughout the entire season. We're going to have content from the Roots Project, and you can actually see a photo from one of their previous camps. It's really incredible work, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that one of the board members does happen to be my wonderful wife, who has been incredibly supportive through this journey of making this show. Supportive, I think, and tolerant would be a better word. She has been very tolerant of how crazy busy this has made me. But her she and her fellow board members of the Roots Project have put together just a phenomenal curriculum. And it's really a worthwhile cause, and honestly, small donations really make a difference, because it makes the difference between a kid being able to attend this life-changing experience and not. So, if you do have the ability, really, we would love to have a few donations go their way.
Great. Yeah, super great to have them involved. Super excited to have the audience here kind of check out what they're all about. And yeah, also just one quick shout out that we wanted to do to our episode 1 special sponsor, Artisan Dice. You will see right off the bat in this very first episode. We can't say they're amazing. What they make is just incredible, mind blowing, basically pieces of art that you can also roll. It's kind of incredible what Artisan Dice does. But you'll see in this first episode right off the bat, we surprise our cast by giving them new dice. We definitely take our time kind of exploring them and showing them off because of how freaking cool they are. So bear with us while we dork out about Artisan Dice for a while. The action starts in right after we do that, and you're going to love it. So, Adam, all right with you if we kind of get rolling?
Oh, let's do. Thank you all, and enjoy. Welcome to Difficult Terrain, the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons actual play series where everything is 2 to 4 times harder than it needs to be. I am one of your co-dungeon masters, Adam DeLeo. With me, as always, is my pal, Tom Woodley.
Hi.
And we are joined by our fantastic cast going around from me. We have Pontius Hans Odaga. We have Carla Lerner Montero.
Hello.
Soren Kissel.
Hey.
Maximilian Clark, and Danielle Cohn. And we won't do this every episode for all of us because that takes too much time, but we're also going to say a big thank you to our crew who are working magic behind the scenes. We have Hiram McLaren Becker of the Cannery Collective. Woo! And thank you, yes, Hiram, awesome. And we also have Dave Haskell, our associate producer. And these guys are just killing it for us. So thank you guys so much. We also want to take a moment to thank some sponsors. First and foremost is our host, 20-Sided Store. That is where we are right now. We are at the premier gaming emporium in all of Brooklyn and perhaps the world. 20-Sided Store on Grand Street here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. We want to thank Lauren Belanco, who has graciously invited us here and allowed us to ruin her world while we shoot. And she's been fantastic. We also, thanks as always to Sirenscape for the amazing atmosphere and music. Really, we cannot recommend using Sirenscape highly enough. For the best games, you got to have it at your table.
That's the Sirenscape.
I was hoping for the sad trumpet.
Next time we'll give the sad trumpet.
Yeah, that one. Let's see, what else do we have to do? Oh, we also want to...
David Mark Erickson Photography.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank David Mark Erickson Photography for the headshots that we used, which should be on a website if it is in fact ever constructed. And finally, we want to thank our first sponsor for our first season of Difficult Terrain, Artisan Dice. We reached out to them and said what we were doing, and they were super receptive and super friendly. We want to thank Charlie and everybody over there. And actually, they sent us something to get us started and really get us involved. So if I could ask the cast to please look under your chairs.
What?
Oh my god.
Now, I want you to go ahead and open them up, take a look, and then we're going to go around. You guys can say what you got. Because I've looked at these, and they are bananas.
No way.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Wait, I just got a human toe. Is that,
Yeah.
No,
it should have been a banana in there. That's
Yeah,
what
no,
you
it should
said.
have been just bananas.
okay. Oh, whoa, this is good.
Wow.
Well, I love
Oh
the
my
design on
God.
yours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
dude.
think I'm jealous.
Oh, they're like stone.
Oh.
Oh.
And
Wow.
And read what they're made of.
You can read what they're made of, and then actually, if you want to start, Hans, you could tell us what you got.
Oh my god.
Well, I have some dice that have been crafted from ancient bogwood from my character Bogwood.
That's correct.
Which is crazy because we didn't tell them what the character names were, and when I opened up, I was like, well, this one's for Hans.
Wow. And yeah.
Okay, I don't know if that there's someone is not happy with Bogwood apparently.
The house ghost.
Anti-Bogwood sentiment.
But oh my god, these dice are so
These
nice.
are so good.
And it's also inlaid in bronze with a Bolivian rosewood. What?
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
What?
And all the cases are also like this beautiful exotic hardwood with inlays. Every inlay is different. Carla, what kind did you get?
It's made of purple heart inlaid with turquoise with a purple heart reliquary.
From the souls of wounded warriors. Come
Yeah.
your
Wait.
death.
So is that what is
Purple heartwood is it's an exotic hardwood, and I picked that one for you because we're gonna there's a certain character of yours that I think you were very specific about the color of his familiar,
Yes.
so that sprang to mind for you. Soren, what did you come up with?
So there's a wood, and mine is a little bit different. It's hops, which I think is like, in some solid resin or something, but you can tell it's like plant fiber, which I'm guessing is like hops, like beer hops.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's wild. Look, you can kind of see through it.
Here, actually, raise it up a little bit to your head level so they can see it. Yeah.
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 These are
And
honestly
it's in a
actually-
black
Yeah.
walnut reliquary.
Yeah.
Nice.
Max, what'd you get?
So I got Sumatran ironwood dice inlaid in copper.
Okay.
And it's haunted, which is cool. And it's a Patagonian rosewood reliquary. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, hold on. 18? Yeah, pretty
Pretty good. They work. They work.
I believe ironwood is, in fact, I think it's the hardest wood there is. I'm not sure, but when I was
good name
playing
for
with it, it rolled like plastic. It was so hard. And Danielle, what did you come up with?
Yes, and these beautiful dice. Mine is crafted from howlite, and it is inlaid with brass with a Peruvian walnut reliquary.
Now, howlite, I was thinking of Ken, the
Yes.
howlite. So.
Okay.
All right, so enjoy your dice, folks. I know that Carla forgot a set of dice today, so I think this will be.
No, I have.
Oh, just dice,
I
just
forgot
okay.
them.
Danielle.
These are
Oh,
my
Danielle
beautiful
I would like to also
dice.
bring attention to the inlays on the cases, which are so pretty.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're all
they're
different.
all
Are they
different.
different designs?
They're
Oh,
all
they
different.
are.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a little guard thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's battle axes. I got battle axes.
You got
Mine are
that.
battle axes too.
Oh,
this So
is the
beautiful.
god. I get it.
Ooh.
Because of the.
Wait,
There you go.
Max, what's yours?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's
So,
something.
yeah,
There's
right
your
on.
presents.
Since I basically only play druids, this is.
Yeah, exactly, and that was our we tried to fit them to everybody's characters or personalities or something about them.
On spins.
Soren, knowing that you are an aficionado of craft beers, of course, we thought that might be a nice fit for you.
Wait, I love
Of
this
course, though, what I did want to say is when we're done playing, I'm gonna need all those back because those are mine.
I have a lot of them personally. Now, if you are tuning in for the first time to this, which of course you are because this is the very first episode, there is something that you should know about this Dungeons & Dragons product that you're watching. And that is, this is very unusual in that we are setting this up in a very different way. All of these players, you've noticed we have not introduced them by character because they will be playing multiple characters. So we will see how that plays out over the course of the next however many episodes. So if we're all ready, let's get into it.
Yes.
All right, grab your
Ready.
beautiful, beautiful dice, and we are speeding through the waves.
Oh my god.
Our story begins not here in the 20-sided store in beautiful Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York, America, Earth, but in a different world, a different reality, the world of Odeya on the continent of Aldeproy, wherein lie the powerful nations known as Ushtarak, Sansubaro, Tyathale, Galodros, and wealthiest of them all, and nearest to your heart, the nation-state known only as the Crown. For what other kingdom could there be but the Crown? What other nation could possibly compare to the glories of the Crown? What leader could possibly hold a candle to King Rufus of the House of Sodejo, third of his name? This nation of yours has and always simply been the Crown. Where we are now, the dawn is breaking over the Eastern Sea as a small fleet of colony ships sail. They are the warship known as the Crown's Fury, 2 cargo ships, the Yulgo and the Tinto, and 1 longship, Califar. Combined, this fleet comprises 200 troops, 120 crew, and 100 citizens. And the destination of these ships is across the world to a mysterious island continent called Aq'rum. Now, Aq'rum vanished mysteriously 250 years ago without a trace. It was there one day. It was home to countless thousands of colonists from each of those 5 major nations of Aldeproy. But the next day, it was gone inexplicably, irrevocably, as if it had never been. But more on that in a moment. Right now, the fleet is cresting the pellucid waters of the Eastern Sea, and a tranquility has settled in among the passengers. You are lulled to quiescence by the rhythmic lilt of the waves. And there's a cabin that we fade up on. It's a good deal better appointed than most cabins. And in this cabin rest 5 champions. All of them are aged in their own way, though the years wear differently on some than others. But all 5 retain the spark of youth, the trace of the vigor of your early years, for these are no ordinary travelers. These are the 5 members of the Onslaught Vanguard, or simply the Van, as they are still known in the mouths of every bard and van boy in the streets of Karakor. They are Maccabee, the Asmar warlock, Ira, the Genesee sorcerer, Dame Olga, and Sir Bornoth, the brutal orc siblings, and the first of their party, the Ardling, the living walking plant, monk known only as Bogwood. You 5 are members of the sacrificed company, victors of the everlasting war, travelers to the 9 hells themselves, the only mortals known to have successfully returned from that plane. And after rescuing the Crown King's daughter, Princess Athliel, from the grips of an ancient blue dragon, you veteran adventurers were promised a release from your servitude, a remote sanctuary to live out the rest of your days together in peace, with the Crown, however, reserving one more call to action, one more use of your skills in the time of greatest need. The Van had retired, spent a glorious decade in rest and relaxation atop remote Werelight Peak, until a day recently when a group of messengers arrived, and you, the Van, were to come to Karakor immediately without question on the orders of Crown King Rufus III himself. And now, as you sit in comfort, watching the waves of the Eastern Sea, you cannot help but think back to that moment a mere week ago when you left your home and teleported to the throne room of the king himself. "Ah, friends," said King Rufus. "How wonderful to see you after all these years." "Yes. Well, I hope you know we would not call you here under anything but the most dire of circumstances. As you are well aware, we have but one remaining request of you before your servitude to the Crown is officially complete. And this is the day I ask it. Accept my mission, and hereinafter the Crown may ask nothing further of you. The continent of Aq'rum. What, if anything, do you know of it?"
I believe that it is we've been hearing much news. That it is re-emerged of some sort.
"Yes.
Out
Yes,
of,
it has.
Out of myth, is it not? Is not real.
It was colonized and disappeared. This feels strange, to say the least.
And then Duke Alain of Brigand's End, who is the king's son-in-law, married to Princess Athliel of the Dawnstar, speaks up. This is no myth. This is no myth at all. Aq'rum has returned, and we know not how this can be, nor do any of our sages or scholars, but a privateer in the sometimes employ of the Crown rediscovered it a few months ago. The Crown has never seen a greater mystery nor a greater opportunity. And the crown immediately sent a ship, known as the Master's Blessing, under the command of Captain Edvard Dalanay, a great man, a great captain, exacting. Dalanay sailed towards Aq'rum, and they made frequent contact back to us. So we know that the Master's Blessing passed the Kilgrit Islands, which are a small chain of islands about halfway through. And we know they spied the continent of Aq'rum, or they thought they did, but we have not heard anything back. And then rises the princess herself.
This, of course, is of grave concern for two reasons. One is that aboard the Master's Blessing was the daughter of the Duke of Thorngage, Lady Nephrilia of House Grephics, our own cousin. She is a talented arcanist and fancies herself an explorer. She is also of royal blood, and her whereabouts must needs be secured.
But there is another reason, and it has to do with national security. As you're no doubt aware, the Crown did have a major colony on Aq'rum. And we owned all the lands to the southwest, beautiful, prosperous lands, rich of mineral and flora and fauna. Our colony's capital city of Tourmaline, it was said, was to be the jewel in the crown. And along with the other four nations, we established a joint city of peace in the middle of the continent. It was known as Grithian. As long as a representative of our nation sat at the pentabulary, which is the five-toothed table at the exact center of the city, as long as we had a royal representative there, the peace of the colonies was assured. But if someone of royal blood is not sitting there, why then, legally, our lands could be claimed by other nations, or perhaps an entity far worse.
We've no time to lose. My friends, we set sail for Aq'rum immediately. We must get to Agrithian, the city of peace. We must find Lady Nephrilia and the Master's Blessing, if possible. But if we cannot, we must seat our own royal representative at the five-toothed table at the pentabulary. I will voyage with you myself. It is of too much importance to trust anyone else.
And the king stands, which is rare for him. Because my own daughter, the heir to the throne, is going across the world to a land that may or may not exist. We are enlisting you, friends, the Onslaught Vanguard, to protect her with, if necessary, your very lives.
Have you tried magical means of locating them or communicating? Teleportation, scrying?
Of course, we have. Something seems to block our spells from out here. It's a mystery. We thought we'd be able to teleport there immediately, as we'd done in the past, but all attempts have failed. Our scholars believe that perhaps some sort of barrier separates the island, some remnant of its disappearance, but we are confident that if we make landfall, we should pass that barrier and be able to travel normally.
I don't suppose you have, I don't know, lock of hair or dress of missing lady?
A dress could be procured, but
That should be. We should be able to do that. Yes, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
We should find you some of her garments. Yes.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't work here, then when we land.
Yes, a fantastic idea. Thank you, Maccabee.
The ocean where the island content
Yes.
has risen. Was there barrier there before it returned?
No, our scholars have looked over the records, and it seems that this is a new phenomenon.
In the old days, we would just zip in and out, teleport. This is not possible now.
My lord, you have our word. We will keep the princess safe.
Yes, of course.
Princess.
Thank you, friends. Thank you.
It is good to see you again.
And at that, Athliel approaches you, and in a very familiar gesture from the exploits that you shared when you all saved her, she reaches, way up and just kind of lightly puts her hand, to the side of your jaw and says, "Thank you, Boranoth. I've always felt safe in your company."
We will have a little adventure together, yeah?
And I hope it is our last of this sort.
As do we.
We're now back on the ship. As you all kind of remember this moment and think about your journey, and all of a sudden, there's a knock on your door, and a deckhand comes in.
Hello. Excuse me. Mister. I'm looking.
Misters and Mrs. of the van, we land ho.
Describe.
Please, get it together. What are you trying to say?
Now he's of course very intimidated. He
Yeah.
looks around the room at this cavalcade of legendary heroes, and let's actually go around the room and say what this poor nervous deckhand sees. So starting with Bogwood.
When he opens the door, he sees Bogwood kind of seeming to be almost in a trance, but very aware, because he notices him soon as he walks in. He hears like everything turn as like the branches that make up Bogwood and the tree-like formation turn towards this person, and he sees this huge, intimidating tree that is like white birch and like red dogwood on his hair. And it's kind of just, he feels this radiance coming off of him that's like really, you can tell as he's taking in the sun from the window that it is coming off of him. And you can feel Bogwood's presence as he like turns to him and says, "Please speak up, my friend."
Awesome. And actually, we want to actually do one more shout out to the D&D Beyond user Nihil Corp. Nihil Corp, I guess, is a corporation devoted to nihilism. Yep. Who actually created the Ardling race. So this is a homebrew race that Hans found, and he's like, "Hey, can I do this?" And we're like, "Oh, sure. You know, this is not complicated enough as it is. Let's throw some homebrew races in there. Why not?" But it's actually a really cool, well realized race. Yeah. It's like tree folk, kind of like a more like humanoid version of like a tree and something like that. And it's really neat. So definitely check it out. Nile Corp, whoever you are, thank you for helping us create Bogwood. And so moving on to Dame Olga, the orc barbarian. What does our poor deckhand see when he looks at you?
He sees a massive orc lady who is very muscle thick, and she dresses like an opera diva. Like it's a lot of like silks and furs. So right now, like, how cold is it?
It's actually not that bad. It's fairly warm outside. Like you're in a temperate climate, so think like American South kind of thing. Except now you're on the sea, so there's a good breeze, but it's not cold.
So her hair is done. She's wearing a lot of jewelry. She has silks, and she just kind of lays back with a drink in her hand. And she doesn't move a whole lot in the way that people who are very used to having their way have a certain stillness to them.
Awesome. And next to her, or perhaps not even next to her, but in the room as well, kind of, crowding the room because he's a very large fellow, is Dame Olga's brother, Sir Boranoth the Brutal. And what does our deckhand see?
He also is huge. And both of these orcs are older, very old as far as orcs go. He might be pushing 50, which is the oldest orc that anyone's ever seen, but only because they all die in battle when they're young.
We both have gray in our hair.
Yes, and scars. One knee is wrapped tightly, and he's sitting on his bed with his armor in pieces piled around him, and his longsword on his lap, and he's oiling them, and mumbling to himself about why am I the only one oiling my the sea air is not good for the weapons. You will come to me later and say, how will I get this rust off of my armor? I will not be able to help you then.
This is why I tell you should have magic weapon. Why do you still use non-magic?
Take care of your tools, and your tools will take care of you.
And you can imagine these two have been having this conversation for like 25 years. And all you're like, oh my god, enough with the oil.
Yeah, we thought that argument would stop when we were tired, but it didn't.
So when the deckhand looks over,
we didn't need our armor as much. So.
I feel like we're still arguing about it.
You're just arguing about the silverware and the china and so forth. Now, so the deckhand looks over and he sees Maccabee. What does he see?
Maccabee is on his bunk. He has large. He has a large sketch pad. He was sketching Bogwood when he's in his trance. He had done some mock-ups for an oil painting when Maccabee when Bogwood was on the deck. It was nice. There was a seascape.
Very Titanic. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was going in for some detail work, and of course, when this man comes in, Bogwood moves, and so I just have to stop because what is even the point of doing this?
And are your eyes currently like glowing as you look at him?
Oh yes, there's just like a bluish aura coming off me, and hearing land ho, I just like put on my mage armor, just like a little extra glow comes over me, and just like.
And the deckhand he pees a little. Alright. And finally, he looks over to Ira, who is, of course, her hair is like perpetually kind of flow, and he's just kind of like entranced. And what does he see?
Yeah, I think I'm sitting with Dame Olga. I think I also have a glass of whatever she's having, and we were having some sort of like very idle chat. But again, yeah, Ira is she's a blue woman with sort of these little blue crystals growing out of her flesh every so often, and her hair is just sort of flowing in wind that doesn't exist.
Nice. Okay, great. So the deckhand sees you all and has a moment of taking you all in, and then he finally gets his wits about him.
You want to see the land? It's up.
You hear another shout from you. Hear excited shouts from above. Land ho! We've spotted land.
Yeah, I've heard it's beautiful. I can maybe get some nice sketches from afar. Yeah.
All right. So if you follow him up to the deck, you see that all of the people on your boat are clustering around one side of the side. Sorry, one side of the side. One side of the boat, and looking off in the distance, and they're pointing, and everyone's excited. But as you look, you all see what doesn't look very much like a continent. In fact, it looks merely like a collection of large rocks, maybe an island, not more than a few miles across. A lot of rocky outcroppings, and you hear one of the sailors say, "Aye, that's it. That's Kilgrid Island, all right." And you see a small island that marks the halfway point of your journey.
That is what all this is about?
Why were we summoned up here?
No, we spotted land. That's all. This marks our halfway point. This means we have merely another month to go.
What time of day
I
is
shoot
it?
like small sparks out of my hands very
is-
sarcastically.
Yeah, it is just about like early evening, not quite magic hour, and Bogwood, as you kind of look at the island for a second, you notice someone moving about on the island, a small figure, and the more you look, it's a spectral figure on the side of the island, the shape of a small child. A very small child, a gnomish or halfling child, looking longingly towards the ship as it passes, playing with a little clockwork device in his hand. But the ship keeps going, and there seems to be no intention of stopping.
Do I notice that Bogwood seems to be looking at something?
Yeah?
Yeah.
You notice him looking intently, I suppose?
And Bogwood's gonna kind of actually lead into Ira and Maccabee, and my friends, did you see what was on the? Did you see the land? Did you see the little one, the figure?
What?
It was a very little island.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
no,
I mean,
that's-
the light is
I would
pretty
go
nice.
there
I mean, I
all,
like
yeah.
the oranges coming off the northern side.
Go. I swear I saw a ghost.
A ghost?
A ghost that seemed to be making machines.
A machine
Did you see-
ghost.
My friends,
A
we have been
ghost is a
together too long
machine
for you
if
to
you
not
will.
understand me. I swear I saw a ghost. We have met them in the other planes before.
Do you want to go
Yes.
back for the ghost?
Does the ghost seem friendly?
The ghost seems suspicious.
All ghosts are suspicious.
True. But
Stop the
I want-
boat! Excuse me.
By this point, the boat has actually sailed out of eyeshot, and Bobby, the figure that you saw, it actually, just even as you began to alert your companions to its possible existence, it seemed to recognize you looking at it, and waved an arm kind of longingly toward you, and in its hand it seemed to be holding something kind of an L-shaped piece of wood, possibly a boomerang, and it was just kind of waving it sadly before it vanished completely. And by this point, the ship is now beyond the island, and the island even now begins to recede into the distance as you pass.
We're making
Bless you.
excellent time.
Do you want to go back?
When we come back, when we are done with the crown.
Okay. I mean, if you want, I could try to sketch her, but I don't really do portrait work, you know.
We now cut to a few days later. A very different scene on a different boat. The below decks, if you will. On the boat is, which boat is this, Adam?
This is the Yulgo. It's a cargo sailing ship, and you guys are among the steerage passengers who literally are like bunking with like the livestock.
Yes. We are, this is a very different scene. This is people of all stripes, a couple humans, a couple dwarfs, a couple elves, and a halfling family. This is the Wandertrap family. Are all packed very tightly in the steerage class of the Yulgo. This is, you know, many, let's say, a couple weeks later, actually. This has been a long journey for the four of you. You know, it's been tiring. There's been cases of sniffles and, you know, a couple of, you've heard stories of a couple different passengers kind of falling ill and passing away on the journey. Not very nice, but this does happen. This is the sea. You've heard stories of animals, kind of, sea animals kind of going crazy and attacking each other. There's a report you heard yesterday about that. You heard,
Like that we have passed.
yeah, as the
you've
boat's
seen
been
that?
going,
Oh,
you
okay.
haven't seen it yourself,
Just
but
like
you
dolphins punching each other?
dolphins punching each other. You've heard about seals kind of smashing,
How did it even?
yeah, finning each other, smashing against this boat, hurting themselves.
Turtles with switchblades.
Something's up, but the mood is jubilant because land is approaching. You've been told it's going to happen in a matter of days. Now,
Are we actually with the livestock? Like,
the livestock is in a different part of the boat. You are not sleeping with your livestock, but you do have the livestock down below. Yes.
okay.
So
But definitely, like the smell permeates.
You smell-
are,
yeah.
You do not have, you know, airy, windowed cabins.
that's right. That's right. The distance between the people and the animals is a suggestion at best. So, in this day, the day when you are meant to arrive, the Wandertrap family, and let's go through and describe them, and tell us what you were doing in preparation for landfall. So let's begin with Mama Wandertrap, the citrine, the matriarch of the family.
Yes. Well, Mama is she's 2'10", but she really's got a presence that makes her seem at least 3'4". And she's got you know, she's sort of she's a halfling. She's not got any sort of particular features, but she is wearing a rather particular headband, and her eyes are always sort of taken in everything.
All right.
Yeah.
And next to her we have Amethyst Wandertrap.
Yes. Well, you know, I've been doing my best to just keep my spirits up for Mama's sake, and it has been a fine journey, and I have been trying to spend most of it asleep in the dreamscape so I could see into the divine.
All right.
Anywhere but here.
And what about little Opal Wandertrap?
Well, Opal's actually with the livestock deck. She's just taking care of the livestock, making sure everything's okay, doing some little mending on like broken arms and legs, because she's just trying to take care of everything. And she's also trying to spend a lot of time with her twin brother.
And how tall and what age is Opal?
Opal is just roughly like 18 inches tall. She's 10 years old, and she's just around all these giant beasts, just trying to be like, everything's gonna be okay from way below.
Okay. And what about her twin brother, Apple?
So Apple, an outside observer would probably know that Apple is actually a furbolg, which are these massive, sweet-faced giants. But Apple does not know that. Apple was adopted, and
Apple is my natural son.
yeah,
Thank
has
you.
been told his entire life that they're twins, and doesn't have the slightest doubt of that. And he's helping Pinky the cow. Pinky has an injured back leg, and when Pinky needs to move around, Apple carries the back half of Pinky the cow to help Pinky get to where she needs to go. So within their small confines down there, when Pinky needs a drink of water or something, Apple will carry her back half over that way. And
All
they're
right.
chatting.
Okay. Now, also with you is your dwarven farmhand, Mr. Church, as well as two other farmhands, Fen and Rue, all just kind of enjoying the ambiance and you know resting and relaxing and so forth. And you all are very tired and weary from your journeys. And all of a sudden, a deckhand comes down and he's looking pretty angry. And he's carrying a box about this big, and he's not struggling with it. He's a strong guy, and he comes down and he marches right up to you, Mama, and he says, "I think I have something of yours.
Do you?
I think I might.
What is it?
In this box, is this one of yours?" And he turns the box around, and out falls a fifth halfling.
So that's a tenthling.
That's a tenthling. Out falls a tenthling.
Jade Wandertrap. Jade is 15 years old, but looks a little bit younger. She still sort of has a childish face. She has a mane of red hair. It's very wild, brown eyes. Her skin's always a little thicker than she wants it to be. And at the moment, she looks very guilty.
I think I box her ears immediately.
We have, Miss Wandertrap, we have on our manifest 4 of you. 4 halflings.
That's
and even
how many-
that's a little suspicious if you ask me. We have 4 Wandertrap halflings. And all of a sudden, we have 5. And I've asked the rest of the halflings on board, none of them own this one. And if you ask me, she looks a lot like you, a lot more than this one.
Well, first of all, I don't know what Apple has to do with it. I think you could leave him out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mom.
Secondly, Jade, what in the world are you doing here?
Going to the lost continent?
I assure you, she did this without any of my knowledge or permission. I told her many times and on no uncertain terms that she was to stay at home.
Mama,
She really did. I heard her.
I have permission from my father, and I have a letter from him for you, Mama.
Oh, well, I wasn't aware that your father was allowed to choose who gets to go on this boat. I was fairly certain that it was those 2 nice men who came to our home the other day. Give me the letter.
And she
Your
hands you a
father's gonna
letter,
be in so much trouble.
and you open the letter, and you hear in your head, in the voice of your husband, "My dearest darling Citrine, if you are reading this here letter, it means that you have catched out our Jade. It is my hope that you will not become aware of her until y'all are pert near at your destination. Else I am afeard you will take to hollering at the crew until they row her all the way back home. I brung myself to help Jade on account of 2 facts. One is that exploring is the magic that lights our baby girl's dreams. The other is that by the time you discover our deception, I will be out of reach of your short bow. Though I suspect that even at this great distance, I may be able to hear you a-calling out my name, along with other, more colorful words I hope the twins have not yet learnt. I reckon, when you return, my hide is like to be forfeit, but something in me tells me that Jade may help see you back to my arms once again. For whatever short time we got on this here world, I aim to spend as much as I can with you and all our babies. Your caring husband, Steve."
What did it say, Mama?
That is none of your business, is it?
No, Mama.
Hi, Jade.
All I can say is I'm terribly sorry. She won't be taking any extra rations or nothing like that.
Well, you're already over your limit with rations, and I thought it was this one. He's been eating about 2.5 to 3 times what we was promised.
Well, I mean, look at him. He's a growing boy.
Yeah, I'm looking at him, and you know what? I just leave this to you to sort it out. We're almost there, but I'm not going to tell the captain if you make it worth me while. Come on then. He kind of holds up his hand, a little bit of a, what can you give me?
We got
I take
fresh.
out a gold piece and I hand it to him.
Bite set. All right. Being that we're almost there. Don't let this happen again, though. I don't want to see any smaller ones than this hiding in a canister of oats or something.
Well, neither do I.
All right. And he marches off. seeming pretty pleased with himself for collecting the gold coin. What do you do?
Well, you proud of yourself? You just cost us a gold piece. Do you know how much that might be worth on the new continent? No, you don't, do you? Because you've never been there. None of us have.
Yes, ma'am.
Hear that? Even the ship's angry.
And actually, you do start to hear something outside. You hear some excitement and some creaking of the boat and some noises from far away. It's almost as if they're coming from another ship. And then you hear the sound, a strange sound. It sounds like a thunderclap, and you hear the sound of sudden kind of creaking in the boat around you. And all of a sudden you hear a deckhand yell, "Starboard bow! Starboard bow! All armed men to the starboard bow!"
Oh no, I had a dream about a huge disaster. And look at it. Here she is.
Why are you like this?
Why, you like this stowaway?
You can take over.
All right, and with that, we're going to cut to the cabin of the Onslaught Vanguard, where similarly your boat, which is of course the warship Crown's Fury, has been rocked, and it feels like something has crashed into the side of the vessel. Deckhands are up top, shouting and screaming in terror, and you recognize the familiar sense of danger. Now, having been informed that you were going to make landfall at Aq'rum today, you are of course fully prepared. Subornoth, his armor gleams with oil and various polishes, and he's fully kitted out. You're all set and all ready, and you recognize the familiar call of emergency, and you are in short order find yourselves on the deck, staring across. All six colony ships are sailing in rather tight formation, really just about 100 yards apart. And in the center of this formation, something has arisen from the sea. There is a kind of a maelstrom, a whirlpool, spinning around this thing that is writhing up and boiling up out of the sea. These massive tentacles, like 60-foot long tentacles, are thrashing about. You watch as one crashes down into another one of the boats. Above it, a swirling spiral cloud is forming in the sky, where lightning is beginning to crash around the clouds. Rain is pouring along with hailstones, and in the center, from your many days adventuring, you recognize that you are looking at a kraken. One of the unfathomable titans of the deep has arisen, and in its fury, it is laying siege to the ships. I need the van to please roll initiative.
Huh.
All right, so let's go with the. We'll go around here, and we'll say, Bogwood, what'd you get?
Bogwood got a 22.
Nice.
Okay, Bogwood 22. Dame Olga.
11.
Okay. Sir Boranoth.
5.
Okay. Maccabee.
Rolled a 1, so that's a 4 total.
Okay. Better than the Kraken. And Ira.
21.
Woo! Look at that.
She's diving in.
All right, and we'll do one for whatever allies you got there. Hi, honey. That's an 18. That's pretty good. Okay. All right, so you watch as the Kraken is doing its thing. It's smashing around, and you've never encountered a Kraken, but you know that they are terrifying beasts. This one, however, it does seem a little different. And Bogwood, since you're up first, with your 18 passive perception, you recognize very clearly that this one is it's in a frenzy of some kind. It's not acting rationally. I mean, while these are ancient and terrible intelligences, this one seems to be more out of control than you would expect. They're very smart, but this one seems to be thrashing around almost wildly. And in fact, it does look somewhat injured, like it's suffered something catastrophic has happened to it. So it's your turn. What would you like to do?
First, I want to make a quick perception check for more info. See if I can suss out anything.
All right, so
about the
what I'll do is, so normally, an ability check is going to be your action, but for this, I will say that, what specific information are you trying to learn?
I'm trying to learn what's making it frenzy? Where's this
Okay.
injury coming
And
from?
obviously that's all
Yeah.
encompassed in your passive check. 18 is enough that you can tell because it's not that far. It's gargantuan. You know, this thing is like, you know, it's massive. So while the boats themselves are like 100 yards apart, it takes up so much of the space that they're all basically within range of it. And you can tell this thing has these long tentacles that kind of come down from its snake-like body. Some of them like thrash below to keep it kind of churning and treading water, and some are rising above the water, and some of the ones, like the thicker ones that look like its primary appendages, are sheared off, and they're these bloody, ragged stumps, and it looks like it's missing a few of those tentacles. And which actually, Bogwood, being that you are as old as you are, as in tune with the world as you are, this kind of strikes fear in you because Krakens are one of the most feared entities in the world, and what could have done that to this? So what do you do?
Bogwood's gonna take a moment and assess the situation as we already discussed, and he's gonna say, we have no choice, fellas. As he like readies his fists, and you can see some radiance coming off of them, as he starts to shoot some radiant sunbolts at this thing.
How far away is it right now?
It's about, from your boat, it's about 60 feet.
It's about 60 feet
Yep.
away. So then Bogwood is going to keep his distance and instead use his searing sunburst.
Okay.
And so he's gonna hurl a bolt of like fire,
Okay.
radiant fire at this thing.
All right, make
and
your
so it's a
attack
con save.
Oh, it's a
for
con
you.
save. Okay.
Yeah, DC 16.
Thank you. That is a natural 17, and it's a +7, so he succeeds. Does he take any damage?
Let's see. 1, 2, 2. He does not.
It's
I
it would
think.
have been 2d6, right?
Yeah, it would have been 2d6.
Okay.
It doesn't say half, so I guess he does not.
All right,
as
so
this goes out.
you hurl this orb of radiance at it, and it's almost like it's a test volley. This is not your first rodeo. Bogwood is not the sort of leader who's going to, fire off his big gun before he really knows what's going on. It's more of a, you're checking the conditions here. You fire it off, and the Kraken, it actually splashes harmlessly on its hide. You do get the sense that this kind of damage can hurt it. It's just this particular one had no impact. You didn't really get all of it on this one, and the Kraken seemed pretty keyed up for it. And that brings us to Ira. It is your turn. You watch Bogwood fire this radiant bolt, and nothing happens.
Nothing happens. I'm gonna try casting a level 6 witch bolt at it.
Okay.
So
The van's in town.
great. So that's gonna be a 28 to hit.
That will indeed hit.
Great. So sorry. So that's gonna be level 6. So help me keep track. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21, 24, 27.
Okay, 27 points of damage. You fire a witch bolt at it. Actually, I'm so sorry. It's 60 feet away, and the range on your witch bolt is 30 feet. So
Oh,
that's okay. I'll let you.
no!
I didn't catch
Sorry,
that before you
was
said it. So
totally- I didn't realize how far
No, that's
it
fine.
was.
It's 60 feet off. And so
One
let's.
of its tentacles or something comes closer to you, and
Yeah. Actually,
Just let it crash on the
we'll say
boat.
that. We'll say it because I'm making it so big. We'll say it's got tentacles that are within range. So we'll let that one stand in the interest of not rewinding history
Right.
too
Oh,
much.
sorry.
That's okay.
didn't check how far
So
it was.
that's a solid hit. You're firing electricity at its
Okay.
well, give me a second here. You're not gonna like this because
No.
you do make contact, and
Right.
the lightning does contact it. But you watch whereas Bogwood's radiant damage dealing sphere splashed harmlessly, you got the sense that it was because this creature resisted its effects normally, as one might, just through its sheer constitution. The lightning that hits it, however, is completely different. The lightning just seems to bounce off it harmlessly, as if to say it is utterly immune to lightning damage.
now at this
Something
point,
in its eyes.
the crew is scrambling around decks, and two of the crewmen have readied a cannon, and they are going to they've loaded the cannon up, and just as you finish sending a lightning bolt, they yell that they're ready, and they light the fuse, and they send a cannonball to a 17 to hit.
That cannonball goes wide.
It goes wide.
But this
and they miss.
this boat has a ton. It has like a whole broadside, right?
Okay,
It has,
so
like, 8
so
cannons.
so two more guys are gonna shoot. One, unfortunately, they rolled a natural one, and so what happens is they light the cannonball, but they're not ready. They're moving so quickly and the cannonball rolls right out of the thing and then explodes, and it causes 44 damage to the boat, to the side of the boat that the van is on, because it explodes right on the side, sending 4 crewmen off to their deaths in the watery sea, scorched.
Whoa.
The third cannon tries, and it gets an 11, which is also going to go even farther wide. These guys are panicked. They've had smooth sailing for the last several months, and they are not prepared for this event.
All right, so the ships have tried, and you are of course on the only warship. The other 4 ships have very limited armaments. We're talking like a ballista on deck, no cannons like that. So they're essentially defenseless against this creature. That brings us to Dame Olga's turn. Now, Dame, this creature is 60 feet away from you, out in the open seas. What would you like to do?
So she sort of like grabs her sword, like, and lights it on fire.
Okay.
Which she can
does,
do.
yeah.
Are there any tentacles near me?
Not quite close enough to you, but it's certainly you've gotten its attention. Between the attacks that are attempting to hit it, all coming from your ship, it certainly seems like it's looking your way. So it might be coming that way soon. But for right now, it's still it's 60 feet away. But we did say that one of the tentacles is within 30 feet of the boat. It's a big thing.
30 feet.
Yeah, 30 feet.
Yeah.
So theoretically, it's within distance that you could run and jump off the boat and land near the tentacle the water.
That is, I mean.
That's the best
Well,
thing
actually,
you can
that's actually even probably outside of your range. Even
Oh,
with
yeah.
a running long jump, I think your strength is
true.
19. No,
You'd
20.
have to swim to
You
it.
can get 20 feet, so you could leap off and make it 20 feet normally. But
Alright,
you
so
actually,
so she's gonna do that probably without armor, so I'm gonna lower my DC real fast.
You are wearing, however, winged boots, though, right?
Oh
yeah.
So
Alright, so I'm gonna
So you activate your winged boots.
so I activate my winged
Yep,
boots
yep.
and start heading that way.
Actually, you don't need to activate them.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah, they just always fly.
Yep. So you're just Okay. So you.
But I can't make it to the beast.
No, sure you can.
Yeah.
You can we're saying that it's got a tentacle that is within range. So we, in the interest of not making you spend an entire round dashing toward it, yes, you can get to one of the tentacles, which will count as its body for purposes of attack.
Then I'm gonna try to attack it.
Yeah.
Wait,
go for it.
first I'm gonna go into a rage.
Yes, absolutely. There's your bonus action. And I like that it's an opera rage too. Like you still got like your arm, like your giant axe. Still, yeah, it's like a Valkyrie.
Like a Valkyrie.
Yeah.
On brand.
All right.
That's a 17.
Don't forget to add your strength bonus. Plus 5.
But you rolled a 17, or it's a 17?
7 plus 10.
Yeah.
17.
Oh, okay, yeah. Plus your 2 for being, plus 3 for raging, right?
Oh, yeah.
17 to hit.
17 to hit. 17 will miss.
No. Well, it would be a
Wait.
20, because this is only your proficiency.
So then.
Wait, your rage bonus
no,
gives you
you're right.
a
No,
plus
that's it.
3 to strength-based attacks. Is that right, or just to damage?
Just a damage.
Oh, just
sorry,
damage. Yeah,
damage,
that's
yeah.
a 17. Yeah.
So 17, you wing your way out there, and like it's like and you're up next to its tentacle. You use your full movement to get to it, and you bring a mighty sweep down with your sword, and you miss. But that's only your first attack.
Right, because I get 2. Silent Dragon! God damn it. It misses.
All right, Dame Olga takes 2 cuts with her sword, and the Onslaught Vanguard has thus far come up empty. And seeing this, Sir Bornoth at the deck, what would you like to do?
So there's a tentacle within 30 feet.
Within 30 feet, and also your horse.
That's what I was going to ask. Where is Nutmeg?
Well, it's in the hold down below. But I mean, knowing that battle was ensuing, you could easily. I mean, we can easily say that you would have instinctively brought your mount up, to take in the
I would
salt
say
air.
there was at least 5 minutes of, or 3 to 5 minutes of being aware of this thing from your vantage point of the boat. So I'm going to say you will have brought Nutmeg, or if you.
Yeah, you guys were. I mean, you were finishing your tea and biscuits and stuff. So you're like, yes, we understand. There's a kraken. We'll be.
We'll
2
be
minutes.
there.
2 minutes.
Okay.
My sister is out there. So there's a portion of the side of the boat that's blown open from
Yep.
a cannon exploding.
Yep.
Is that a safe jump that a horse could make down to the
yeah.
water level?
It's
if the horse could run on water.
It's a big jump, but I think the hole is low enough that we're gonna say that this is a very well trained warhorse with a very familiar rider. So what I am gonna do is I am going to have the warhorse, and actually I did pull up stats for it. So we're gonna have the warhorse give me a. We'll just make it a straight up. Actually, I'm going to give you an athletics check for your warhorse just to make sure it can make it down. So that's going to be a +4 based on its strength. And go ahead.
17.
17 is enough. It was 15. So your horse leaps heroically off the side with you on its back, and this is like a Clydesdale. Like it's a massive horse that you look just right on.
It would have to be.
And it hits the waves, and it's this incredible effect where the waves are thrashing and roiling, but the horse maintains this kind of like flat 4-inch cushion. So no matter like the waves splash up below it, but it's almost like there is like a plank of wood running across the waves, and it is charging. Like its nostrils are flaring, and what do you do?
Sister, I'm coming! And its horseshoes of the Zephyr, if anyone's wondering, runs 4 inches above anything. Yeah, so I run at that same tentacle that she attacked.
Yep.
With my long sword of wounding out, swinging madly.
Okay.
Sword of wounding.
Wound.
21 on the
That
first
will
attack.
hit. Yes, absolutely.
Nice. And that's a 15 damage.
Okay.
Plus 3 necrotic damage.
Okay, so that's 18 damage. Excellent. And it is also wounded, which will take effect on its next turn. And you have a second attack.
And if it happens to have magic regeneration or something, it can't work against
Excellent.
this
Good to know.
damage.
Good to know. This one, I believe, does not.
Second attack's a 17 again.
Wait.
No, I'm sorry. No, that's not at all. 23.
Yes, that will hit.
14 and 1 extra. Oop, waits a second hit, so 1 and 1, 2 extra.
So
necrotic.
16 total. Okay, great. Yeah, that you've actually done some significant damage, and it has been wounded twice. So at the beginning of its next turn, it's going to take 2d4 damage. So that is a solid turn, and that brings us back. Brings us down to the Kraken, and the Kraken now. Whereas before it was thrashing kind of. Oh wait, sorry. Where are we?
We're here. We do.
Oh, I forgot to put a thing.
Yep.
No, Kraken's at the very end. There
Yep.
we go.
Uh-huh. That's what
There
so
it
Mac
is.
can be first.
Sorry, you're right. It's at the start of its next turn.
Yep.
So pull off 6 damage off of the total between them, and it'll be the start of its turn that it takes that necrotic.
Okay, no problem. All right, so I'm sorry. Maccabee gets his go, and then the Kraken.
So Maccabee's sort of just been like standing on deck, and like the cannon exploded behind him, and he's just sort of like watching. And he looks down at he has a massive hammer, like a giant war hammer, and instead he sort of like lets it go limp, and he pulls out a rod from his pocket. Have the Kraken make a wisdom save, 21.
All right, that is going to be a failure.
Great. He casts Hold Monster.
Just barely. Okay.
So it is now
wait,
paralyzed.
Is Hold Monster huge or smaller, or is it any monster?
Creatures you can see within
Perfect.
range.
Okay. Then in that case, and the range is you're fine.
90
Range is
feet.
fine, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So you watch as this Kraken,
Yeah.
which is kind of having its way with everybody, suddenly freezes, and it just kind of halts in place. And the effect is surreal because its tentacles are so big that the ones that have stopped, now that it's not thrashing, it's like waterfalls cascading off of each tentacle.
Yes.
All right, and that is your action. Any bonus action or movement?
Jeez, just with the noise. No one took. This crew that fell off, they're dead.
There's bodies and parts everywhere. It's like Band of Brothers.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
it's-
one guy. There's one guy kind of like scrambling and swimming, but he's gonna die soon. He's all burnt up and everything.
Oh, jeez. I'm gonna. How far down is it to the water?
We're gonna say if you go from the deck, it's about it's 20 feet. If you go from the hole that's blown in the side, like if you hop down to that, it's about 10 feet, about 15 feet.
Yeah. So there's a guy that's like treading water.
Basically.
So I have a ring of water walking. I'm just sort of gonna like hop down there and just be like, stop drowning.
Yeah, easy enough. You hop right down. Do you give him any kind of healing, or you just say that? You
No,
just tell him?
I say that he can grab onto my foot
Okay.
or whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, and honestly, this guy like just your presence and like being offered like the toe of one of the Vanguard is
Yeah.
like that actually is not good.
Thank you.
All right, so now it's the Kraken's turn. So we go the Macken, then the Kraken, and the Kraken is going to take that 6 points of necrotic damage, and he is also held. He's going to get a con save to see if he can break out of the wounded condition.
That's at the end of its turn.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, sorry.
This is the con save for his wounding, and he does succeed on that, so he's no longer wounded. And then the next time, this is a wisdom save for you. What's
Yep.
your DC? 16?
21.
Woo! Oh, that's right. You got the I'm sorry, that's a 19. His wisdom is not great, but that is a 23. So
Oh, wow.
he is no longer. It is no longer
that's pretty
held.
good.
Yeah, it's decent.
It's pretty. I mean,
Yeah, plus
Krakens are
more
not.
wisdom for-
They're not mindless. They're quite intelligent. This one is out of its mind with frenzy due to its injuries. But okay, so the Kraken, that's the end of its turn. It can't move. It can't do anything. But it's once again, its remaining tentacles are thrashing, and now it is for sure focused on where you guys are, specifically on Maccabee. That brings us back to the top of the round with Bogwood.
Bogwood realizing this thing, like shrugging off Maccabee's spell and like not reacting to certain sunbursts, Bogwood's gonna jump off the ship and run on the water.
Yep.
And Bogwood has a speed of 70, so he can get all the way over there. And he's gonna start laying into this thing. So he's gonna pull out he's gonna go with his Radiant Fist.
Now,
and so,
that's you can definitely do that. Just so you know, though, Bogwood is going to sink. Like you can
Oh.
run out, you can move, but you cannot you can't necessarily stop and make attacks. So what I'll say though,
so
is
he's a
monk,
I get.
though.
I was gonna say I would like get on the thing as like
Yeah, totally.
try to jump on it and just
Also,
you know.
wood sometimes floats, you know.
Well,
so-
Yeah.
it
just turns
into
into
driftwood.
I mean,
Yeah.
monks
Is this
can run on
driftwood
water too.
situation?
No, he is running on water, but
It's
they
standing
can't
still
stop
on
it.
water.
So,
Can I help? Because
Oh
I
yeah,
can
I could
control
also
wind.
keep moving.
on your turn, you can certainly do that. But what I'll say is, in the interest of fun, I will say that you can have your choice. You can either say, because I think you also have a bonus action that lets you take Step of the Wind, right? Where you
Yeah, I
can
could Step of the
just
Wind
turn
and-
right around and come back to the boat if you want. So I'll say that you can, as you make a pass, because this thing is so big, you can make your attacks as you pass it without ever halting your motion. In the alternative, you can use one of your attacks to attempt to grapple it and climb up on it. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to try. I will give you athletics or acrobatics check, your choice, versus its contested saving throw.
I think I'm gonna try and grapple this thing.
Okay.
And try
So
and,
and this only
hold
uses
on
up
to
one
it.
of your attacks. You still have one free. So go ahead. And I'm assuming Bogwood is better at what, athletics or?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
better at athletics.
Yeah. So go ahead
Sweet.
and you make an athletics check, and it's gonna try and shake you off. And it's a pretty strong creature.
I got a 20 on that.
All right, it got a 22. Although it okay, wait, hang on a moment. That is a 13 plus 8 is a 21. So on that one, it fails. So you actually, it seems like you're losing purchase, but at the last minute, it attempts to shake you off with one of the tentacles that is now just a stump, and it's got like phantom arm thing that it tries to get you off, but nothing happens. You're able to climb on, and you're attached to it. That uses up one of your actions. You still have one attack left, or one attack.
Yeah. So immediately after that attack, I can still use Flurry of Blows. Is
Yeah.
normal? Okay. So I'm going to immediately after that attack use Flurry of Blows, and kind of like have this moment with this thing where it's like, I'm sorry, it's time to go.
Oh wait,
As
but I think you do you only get one? You get two attacks, then you get flurry of blows, right?
Yes.
So
So
yeah,
it
so
does-
take your first attack roll.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's gonna be it will be 2. So both of these. So we got a 19 and a 16.
The 19 is for your attack.
Yeah.
That hits.
Well, these were 2 attacks. Flurry of Blows 2.
Oh wait, I thought you got so one attack was used up by your grapple, and then as
Yeah.
as a monk you have two attacks to begin with. So the second one is your second attack, right?
Well, I have an unarmed strike, which is plays off my bonus action,
Okay.
and so that's my normally like what people would do is like my second attack.
Oh, okay. I thought you actually got two.
You do. You have 2 attacks and
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
bonus
Yeah,
action.
you have an extra attack. So you get one attack with your grapple, one normal attack with either a monk weapon or your fist, which you just
Okay.
rolled as a hit.
Yep.
And so that one hits, so roll damage on that one first.
It's a
Alright.
hit. It's a hit.
So that one does 8.
Okay. And these are your monk attacks count as magical, so that is yep.
And then
Math.
we got a lot going on.
And so that hits now. So now you get your flurry of blows, which is you spend a key point. Please mark that on your sheet,
Yes.
and that gives you 2 unarmed attacks. So you can roll both of those separately.
Okay. And so we got a 20. We got
That'll do
a
it, yep.
27, and
Yep.
we have a 22.
20 anything's going to do it, so both hit.
Okay, and then that will be another 8, and then plus 7, so that's a total of
15.
15. Then I'm going to take my next attack.
I think that was it though, right? Because you had one attack was your grapple, one attack you used, and then you used your flurry of blows for your 2 unarmed attacks. That's your.
So I did my first attack was my grapple.
Yep.
Then I did.
And then
my
you did.
flurry of blows.
Yep. You did flurry. No,
Monks
you
are
did your
crazy.
second attack, which hit for 8 points.
Okay, so I
Then you
couldn't
did
do a
flurry
flurry of
blows.
blows after them.
Exactly. You have to hit with an attack, which
Yeah,
I
I
think
see.
a grapple might have counted, but either
That's
way.
what I was wondering.
No, you
Does it
use
not
your
count?
use your movement. You used your attacks and you use your bonus action, and you are clinging to the back of
Alright.
a kraken, kind of punching it in the spine. So,
Does it have
awesome.
a spine? Does it? I don't know if a kraken has a spine.
It's
It's like a cartilage type of
it's like a
situation. I'm
cephalopod.
imagining.
So yeah,
Cephalopod,
yeah. All right,
Okay.
so you're punching it in its cartilage. Yeah.
Just breaking some cartilage
So
today.
so the van's starting to gain some traction against this creature, and that brings us to Ira.
All right, I'm gonna try.
And you're still in the boat.
Yes. It's within 60 feet of me though,
Yes.
right? Okay. I'm gonna try Ray of Frost cantrip. So that's gonna be 27 to hit.
That will hit.
Okay, so thank God.
Yeah,
so
its AC is 18. It's got tough skin, but it's just skin.
11, 14 damage.
Okay.
And
And it's slowed down by, is it 10 feet? That reduces its movement, I believe, by 10 feet. So it's now, whatever its movement was, it can move only 10 feet less.
yes,
Yep.
yes, its speed is reduced by 10 feet until my next turn.
Yep.
And I think just because I can, I'm also going to use my bonus action to use my Storm Guide feature.
Okay.
So I can control the wind within 100-foot radius sphere of myself. So I'm just gonna kind of put the wind at your guys' backs so that it is make it less intense and also blowing in your direction.
Now,
towards the thing.
your spellcasting ability is charisma, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to have you make a contested check because the Kraken also is controlling the weather in this area. So this is kind of a battle of will. So I want you to make a check using your spell modifier. So this is not your spell attack modifier. This is just +4 for your charisma bonus. So
Just
make
+4?
Yep, roll a 20.
It is a 23.
Okay, that's wow. You blow the Kraken out of the water.
Yeah.
And
Not
this
literally.
thing that was yeah, right. It's still in the water.
Maybe.
Kind of. It's got this roiling storm above it, and it's it's in its fury, and you kind of rise up, and you even kind of levitate a few inches off the deck. You, your eyes go dark, and the wind just like behind you just shoots forward, and you watch as the Kraken is kind of you can almost read an expression of shock in its face as you direct this wind to it that didn't think was possible.
I love intimidating the
Now the
Kraken.
soldiers have regrouped on the side of the deck. They have now manned all the cannon mounts that are along the side, and you watch as like all 8 of the cannons roll out of the cannon ports on the side of the boat, and they fire a broadside. And how many we got?
What's the AC?
18.
I love this.
Yeah.
And it's like boom, 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 and like there's smoke clouds everywhere. And
2 hits.
All right, so 2 cannonballs. You hear a kabam, kabam as 2 cannonballs impact, and actually Bogwood, one of them strikes not far above you, and you watch as this this cannonball hits, and as the smoke clears, all of you see that the cannonballs have ricocheted completely harmlessly off this creature, and in fact, you almost have to dodge out of the way as one of like the flattened lead balls just kind of drops, and you notice that above it, there's not even a scorch mark on its scaly, slimy hide. So that's the best that the your allies could do. It is now Carla's turn. It's Dame Olga. I realize we have this backwards from your perspective, don't we?
No.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Are they back? Are they right? The way?
They are
reading.
backwards.
It's
all
but
good.
it's
We got it.
okay.
All right,
No,
we got it. Right?
what are you talking about?
We get
This is correct.
It also helps that you tell us when it's our turn.
Yes, exactly. All right, so but
Primordial, you read right to
yeah,
left.
no, well, Tom arranged these for me,
Okay, so let's do it
and
too.
so we're gonna have a talking.
Point of coolness information: when she changed the weather, like to make it windier, did my sword burn brighter?
Sure. I think you got
Yes.
a lot more oxygen to it, and also, I mean, I would say at this point in your adventuring career, the 5 of you are so attuned that when any one of you really gets juiced up and going, it fuels the rest of you, and it has this effect of just multiplying each other's energy. So yeah, definitely you're feeling that. You're feeling much more confident. That first round was kind of a warm up. You're like cracking your knuckles as you're doing it. And,
Yeah.
One could say, I've got chills, they're multiplying.
Yeah, but you're not losing control. You're taking control.
Alright. So I'm gonna try to hit it with my pointed thing.
Yeah.
18.
18 will hit just enough.
Great. So then that's That's 11 of slashing,
Okay.
and
Add your flame, your.
yeah, and I'm rolling the fire damage now. And 6 of fire.
That was 11 and 6 total?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. It's looking pretty hurt. It's certainly not on death's door, but one might say that it's bloodied. It's definitely taken some hits. That brings us to your brother, Sir Bornoth, who is mounted on Nutmeg, right next to it.
It cut off the tip of the tentacle, I think.
Longsword of wounding, 18 to hit.
Yep, that'll do it.
Let me just roll all 3 at once.
Yes, please.
Critical fail
Okay.
on hit number 2.
All right, so what I'm going to say is that critical fail is going to cost you. It's going to cost you disadvantage on your third attack. So,
All right.
yeah.
And third attack
Been in
is
retirement.
an
Okay.
11
You're
or
rusty.
15, so 21.
Yeah, that'll
so I
hit.
need 2 of those.
Yeah, everything but your armor is rusty.
Okay, good.
Just
to be
your
clear,
just
to
your
be
joints.
clear.
The armor is gleaming.
That is a 13 on the first one and a 14 on the third one.
Okay.
I'm still getting to know my longsword of wounding. It turns out you only get 1 of these per turn.
Okay, great. All right,
so
good
it's
to know.
wounded, but don't give it more
I got
points
it.
this
Got
time.
it. Okay. And no problem. No problem. All right, awesome. And that is Sir Borno's turn. Hacking into this thing deeply. It is significantly damaged. That brings us up to Maccabee.
Oh, and I'm sorry, and I'd like
Yep.
to end my turn near her, within 5 feet of her.
That's fine. Yeah, you're both right around the same tentacle, really hacking away at it, and you can actually move closer to the base where it's like thickest, so it's easy to reach it. It's no problem. Maccabee.
So, the person clinging to my foot, can we say that they got to the boat?
Yeah, you give him a helping hand. Doesn't cost you anything, and it's very this tiny gesture is probably going to be the story that this guy tells for the rest of his life, which will be short because there's no medicine. He's probably going to die of gangrene anyway. But no, you saved him. He's fine. He's up on the boat, and he's like all the other sailors kind of they give him like an arm and pull him back up.
All right. Well, seeing that the Kraken refuses to stop, I'm going to take my hammer in both hands and just like jog out to it, and give it a. So it's gargantuan, right?
It is.
And so there's lots of little pieces. So if I theoretically had a cantrip that did damage to a creature and then damaged a creature 5 feet away from it.
No. I'm gonna give you one. This is one creature, and even its tentacles count as part of it.
Okay.
What was that? Acid splash?
No, green flame blade.
Oh, go.
Which I'm still gonna use. I'm just gonna make sure that I'm
Sure.
far enough away from these guys that they don't hit the splash damage. And where I go. So I'm gonna just make a weapon attack. Okay, I believe that is a 28.
Oh yeah, significantly more than you needed.
Okay, great. So it's gonna take me a second to roll this out.
Yep.
So that's a D10, and it's
Oh, did you forget your second attack?
Yes.
You forgot your what?
My second attack.
There's so many attacks. It's okay.
I mean, this
got
is episode 1, so that gives us room to grow.
Yeah.
We're growing.
So. So that's 11, 13. 13 plus 10 plus 6. 23. That's 29.
Oh my god.
So I'm also. Yeah, I'm gonna smite this guy. So hang on 1 second.
Smite him.
Come on.
Just one smite. You can put it up to 5 if you want, right?
No, sorry. There we go. There's another 9 plus 4 plus 2, 11. That's 20. So did I say 26 before?
You said 29.
29.
29 before. So that's 49.
Good grief! All right, well, that does not. I mean, it does not kill it, but certainly you have. I'm assuming you're using your hammer for this.
Yeah. So,
So actually, you hit it hard enough with your hammer that, despite the fact that hammers deal bludgeoning damage, it actually buries the head of the hammer into the side of this thing and punches a hammer-shaped hole in it. That is an intense amount of damage, and you can tell that this thing is reeling. But it seems to have no intention of retreating, even though wisdom might suggest that would be its best course.
Good. I'm also going to, at the end of my turn, start what's it called? Far Step.
Okay, so that lets
That's
you
a bonus
teleport.
action.
Yep.
Yeah, so I teleport basically back to where I first started off by the hole in the ship. I'm just like leaning back against the ship, being like.
And your smite is not. Oh, that's a spell slot. So you don't have to actually smite. Okay, great.
Perfect. That's my spell slot. So.
All right, so you bamf out of its way, and it's of course furious about this because it it wanted to kill you. Soren, if you could roll me that d4, please, and tell me how much damage it takes at the start of its turn. Is now the Kraken's go.
So we gave it 1d4 extra last
All right, so
time
we'll call it a
accidentally.
wash.
So
All right,
it's
great.
wounded, but we'll
It
call
is
it a
wounded.
wash for points.
It's going to take the con save right now, which is cocked. So we'll go ahead and do it again. Oh, that's a crit fail. So it's going to keep taking. It's still wounded. Its speed is reduced still by 10 feet, so it can only swim 40 feet per round, which is more than enough to get right next to you, Maccabee, and it's going to. It was. Actually, it's going to furiously. It's going to use its lightning storm ability, and it's going to use one shot against you. So I need a dex save from Maccabee, and I need another one from Sorbornoth. Both of you were two of its most significant attackers. And its third lightning bolt that it calls down, it goes straight for the Califar, which is one of the transport ships that was already fairly heavily damaged before you guys ever got above dex. So I need a dex save, a dex save. From just Maccabee and Sorbornoth.
Oh, okay.
Does a 12 do it?
That does not do it. Oh. I'm going to roll this one out.
Is there anything special about a dex save while mounted?
No, I'm going to give it to you normally, and
Just looks cooler.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to even say
There's
though,
more rearing.
mechanically, your horse it's not in danger because it's just one target. I think realistically, it might make more sense if the horse took it too, but we're not going to do that because we like horses here. So what'd you get?
I got a 9, and I'd like to use Indomitable to reroll that.
Okay.
And I got a 7.
All right, so you both
So
fail
you're
your dex
dominable,
save.
in other
So you are dominated or something, and you both take 25 points of lightning damage as a bolt of lightning courses through you. Also, you watch as the Califar takes way more damage. The lightning bolt actually drives straight down through its hull, and it would blast out the side of it. It seems like whatever damage the Kraken does to you, it does significantly more to structures and objects. So the Califar is actually now listing very hard and taking on water really fast. That is the Kraken's turn. It is right up next against Maccabee and Sorbornoth and Olga.
Sorry.
Yeah.
How much damage was that?
25 to each of you.
So just to be clear, they're all in the water, right?
He is walking on the water. Sorbornoth is riding above the water. Dame Olga is flying above the water.
Great.
You are on the deck, kind of hovering with wind blowing around you, and
Yeah.
Bogwood is clinging to the back of the Kraken.
Great.
And meanwhile, the cannoners who have like realized their weapons are useless are just like jaws on the floor watching all this happen. Brings us back to the top of the order with Bogwood.
Okay, so Bogwood's first, as he's already attached on this thing, first going to take his first 2 regular attacks on it. And so.
Do you hear the sound of that die as it hits the table? I mean, it sounds like metal. That's amazing.
Oh, I have a
good.
Mel die and I have the Bogwood die. So 16 and 19, both plus 8.
Yep,
so like
that'll do it.
those will both hit. So that's going to be a 8 for the first one and a 5 for the second one.
And you're adding your strength bonuses, yeah?
I am.
Okay, cool.
And then
So
immediately
13?
after
Yep.
that, Bogwood is going to use his special ability to cast Burning Hands immediately
Sure,
after
yep.
an attack. And so that's going to be a dex save from the creature.
Oh, yeah.
And 16.
Oh, that's a horrible. That's a 3. His dex is only +5, so he fails. It fails.
So that's going to be 3d6 of damage.
Okay, so go ahead and roll it. Now, Burning Hands is it's every creature in the cone, right?
Yeah, but considering
I'm
it's
saying-
gargantuan and I'm coming
And
from
really,
behind it.
if you just angle it upward,
Exactly.
you're gonna get only it. Yeah.
So that's going to be 12 damage.
Okay.
And that's fire damage?
Yes.
Great.
Then on my next attack, I'm going to. This is. I love all these moving parts. Wonderful. We're gonna do another regular attack and then immediately after. Actually,
Well, you used I think you used your bonus action already, right? Oh, so you can spend a key point.
yeah, the key point
Yeah.
makes that.
Okay.
And so Then for my next one, I'm going to use Word of Radiance,
Okay.
and I just simply Bogwood says Apollo, and it's just like kind of invoking the sun god, and that's going to be a con save 16 as well.
That is a 9, but his con is +7, so that is 16. No, it's +12, so that's a lot. So it's yeah.
Oh, plus 5.
Yeah.
Oh. Oof.
Yeah, he's
Plus
proficient
12.
in con saves, exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
I keep saying he. I don't know why I'm gendering this thing. But yeah, so it succeeds on its con save.
Okay, and then that would be it.
And what was the damage on the burning hands again?
12.
Okay, cool, 12. So actually, I applied that already. All right, so Bogwood punches it or hits it with something or other, and then shoots some burning hands at it. And now it's Ira's turn, and you are still the furthest away, watching all this happen.
Yes, I think I'm gonna cast Firebolt at it.
Sure. Make your attack roll.
So that's gonna be 15.
Is that with your spellcasting bonus or plus? Because you have a +9, I think.
+9. I rolled
Oof.
a 6.
So no, that will not succeed. So your
Great.
firebolt shoots off the side, and you kind of lazily eyeball it, and it just misses.
Damn.
Any movement or bonus actions?
Yeah, I kind of want to do something fun. I think I just float a little higher.
Okay.
Actually, no. Wait, no. I'm actually gonna. Can I dive over the side of the boat? So I can breathe underwater.
Sure.
So I'm actually gonna dive under this off the side of the boat and try to go down a bit.
Sure.
So that I'm looking up at everything.
Give me an athletics check.
Okay.
Just see how well you dive.
Yeah. That's an 18.
Yeah. Really, it's gorgeous. I mean,
That's
and
live.
as if the deckhands weren't already in love with you.
Yeah.
It's just like this perfect athletic form as you pierce the water. Not a single ripple amid the stormy waters can be seen. You just slice into it and you're gone.
Yeah.
All right, and that brings us to the deckhands.
And the deckhands are most of them have got the message that the cannons are working, but the ones on the far end still haven't. So they're going to through a couple other hands. And there's only 3 that are going to go. And I'm going to say that one of them was the 18. Okay, so none of them hit. One of them, unfortunately, sends the cannonball so far off that it does not hit one of the other boats, but it gets so close to it that it sends a huge splash over, and that one of the other boats is rocking. And over in the steerage on the Yulgo, the Wandertraps are suddenly thrown to the side of the boat, and a little opal goes flying all across the room. 18 inches of her just jettisons over, and it's really. But
can I do a dex check as Jade?
Well, no, actually, they all take 87 points a day.
Yeah, they're all dead. Sorry, guys.
I just wanted to try to catch Opal.
Okay.
No, Opal's fine. You guys are you're rocking around.
Just for color. That happens.
Yeah.
All right.
God dang it, Jade.
All right. So then we're moving to Dame Olga.
All right. Yep.
Alright, so I want to attack, but the ship is sinking.
Not your ship. The ship you are on is the Crown's Fury. That's the warship. It's taken damage mainly from its own cannon. The ship that is sinking is the Califar, which is one of the crew transports. And you watch as it is now half submerged, and soldiers are diving off the sides trying to get out.
But so there were passengers on it.
This ship had carried, in addition to the crew, it carried 20 passengers and the soldiers. So the soldiers who are being sent to Aq'rum.
Half the soldiers, half the soldier, the army regiment that came with you, were aboard that ship.
How many people can I carry at once?
Your strength is 20, so you can carry. It's 8 times your strength without really breaking a sweat. So you're talking about 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And you can drag a lot more than that. So you can drag I think up to 2 or 4 times that. So you can carry a lot of them, but I would say because of the limitations of your arms, you can probably haul maybe 2 of them at a time. Maybe if you throw one over your shoulder, you can do 3.
Yeah.
4 if they're halflings.
Can I just lift the boat? Can I?
It's actually this boat though is pretty far. So to get to this boat, because remember the Kraken is in the center, all the boats are in formation around it. So you're watching on the far side of the Kraken. All this is happening. This boat is going. It would be out of your range even if you dashed to it right now.
But they are evacuating passengers.
Oh yeah, they're diving off the side. I mean, there's definitely there's going to be some wounded and some dead, but a lot of them are escaping off the side.
All right, then I'm just gonna try to kill this thing and then do triage.
All right, let's have you go ahead and roll 3 attacks this time because we missed one last turn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All comes out in the wash.
Yay.
So this one doesn't hit. That's a crit.
Okay. And you have brutal critical now, right?
I have a critical hit and a critical fail.
Okay. So that was on your third attack. The crit fail.
Yeah.
We'll say we just lose that one, and that's fine because it would have been last turn anyway.
Yeah.
But go ahead and roll the damage for the crit, and don't forget on your I believe your brutal critical you get to roll an extra damage die, right?
Uh,
I believe that's it.
Yes.
correct.
yes.
Yay.
I'm not up on my barbarian, but I think that's right.
Okay. So that's
Yes, you can roll 2 additional weapon damage dice when determining. So you get to roll your damage dice twice, and then you get to roll them 2 more times.
So, because they're 2d6,
times.
then there's.
So you roll 2d6 times 2, and then you roll 2 more d6. So you're gonna roll 6d6
66.
total. It's like a sneak attack.
Yes.
6
Okay.
D.
Right now you just got
6d6.
Because you got 2 8s on your first one, so you got to do that 2 more times.
Wait,
Wait, you can't get 2 8s
Wait,
because you're rolling
no.
d6s.
Not plus the
This is the
modifier.
damage.
No, the modifier is just 1 time, so it's just
No,
the
it's-
dice.
8.
okay. So my first 2d6, my slashing, so that's plus 5.
What about the flame damage though?
We're gonna do that in a second.
We're-
That
yeah.
also doubles.
Okay,
So we're gonna do it one at a time. So
Okay.
let's go 2d6. Your first roll. That's your regular
Yeah,
damage.
so that's 6 plus 5, so that's 11.
Okay, now roll that again.
And do I add just the plus 3 melee damage from my rage?
At the very
to
end, we'll do all that at the end. You're gonna
Got
get a
it.
plus 8 because it's plus 5 for your strength, plus 3 for your rage damage. So
Okay,
that's gonna be plus
so
8.
then just do this.
So roll those again. This is for your crit.
That's also 6.
Okay.
Plus 5, 11 again.
Oh, no.
All right. So now
No,
roll
no,
those.
no, no.
Oh, that's
No,
fine.
no
Got
pluses,
it, got it,
just-
got it.
Okay, so
Just
that's
initial.
that's a total of 6, right?
Yes.
All right. So you got 11 plus 6. Now roll those again. This is for your flame damage.
So we have 17 total.
6.
Okay. Roll those again for your flame damage for crit.
Hey!
They said 8. I was like, write it down. Like, I got it.
No, 11.
Okay, 11. Now you've done your crit for your regular, your crit for your flame damage. Now roll your extra 2d6 for your brutal critical. So roll those again.
Math.
Barbarian action.
It's fun, right?
8.
All right. So that is a grand total of 19, 25,
Did you-
31,
did you-
32, 42, plus 8 for your strength, plus your barbarian, which is a total of 50 points of damage. You carve into it with literally just 1 attack. Your 1 critical attack. You miss once, and on your 3rd attack, your sword actually gets lodged in its skin, but it doesn't matter because that 1 attack slices through whatever passes for her heart on this unfathomably old creature, and it begins to slowly die. Its tentacles flop down to the water as tidal waves erupt from where it falls, and it crashes back to this like this whale sound, kind of Godzilla thing as it falls backward in the water. And it begins to sink. The boats all around it are pushed backward away from it, and the small tidal wave is actually enough to completely overwhelm the Califar, which is enough to drown it. So it actually, this boat now is completely below water.
That's the one we were on?
No, you were on the Crown's Fury, the warship, which is
Okay.
slightly damaged from the cannon shot, but otherwise intact. The crew of that ship are the closest to you, and they are cheering wildly. Meanwhile, the Califar has gone down. Rescue boats are all ready. Little longboats are launching to go
Okay.
save it, and the stormy clouds from above begin to abate as Ira does her thing and actually helps to calm the weather, so the boats can recompose themselves.
My far step is still active for another 54 seconds.
Yeah,
where I
totally.
can just constantly teleport. So.
Yep, and you're able to use that to great effect. And I'll say that even the van can't help themselves. You see that there's catastrophe, and you immediately you're not done. You go over and you start. It's like one of those incredible news stories where someone pulls a child out of a burning car and then notices that there's a family of baby ducks that are crossing the street and they rescue them
Yeah.
too. So that's what you guys do.
And we will say that you are able to rescue about 2/3 of the people who are in that boat
Yeah.
because of that.
So a lot of soldiers died, but a lot also alive because of you.
On my way flying from the Kraken, like, Borsha, that's 47 to your 44, because I just killed it.
That was a good hit. That was a good hit. I will not doubt.
It's not fun unless you get mad.
Yeah, but yours makes fire. It's not fair.
All right, so that
Wait,
yes.
before we move on from this, can I do a little investigating to see if I can find any clues as to what might have hurt that Leviathan.
What are you going to be investigating? Because its body is.
Kraken.
I know you can.
Well, because I'm underwater,
okay.
Yeah,
so I just
actually,
kind
yeah.
of want to swim down a little
Sure,
bit, see
sure.
if I can find any signs of another larger life or.
Do
just
you also
anything.
breathe underwater?
I have
do.
unlimited.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
You do not have dark vision, though. Am I correct?
Oh, that's a good
that's-
question.
no,
I thought
you
I
don't.
did, but maybe I do not.
You don't have dark vision, but it's okay because you've actually your will has triumphed over the krakens, and the clouds have parted, and there's enough of the fading sunlight to see.
I can control the weather, so I can make sure that. I'm
Yeah,
up
no, you
there.
got enough to see,
Yeah.
and as you get down there, you watch its kind of lifeless, this hulking body as it sinks. It looks like the parts of it that were missing. Actually, go ahead and let's do an investigation check. I would say at disadvantage though because you are underwater. It's falling away and it's a little dark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 16.
Okay, yep. I was giving you a 14. So that's enough to see that that it's not just tentacles that were sheared off. And actually, when you're below water, you can see that what was above the water is like the tip of the iceberg. This thing is
huge.
massive. It goes down with like tails and tentacles hanging well below the water, and it looks like not just like stumpy tentacles were cut off, but like almost like a slice of its body was just cleanly broken off, as if it was just sheared down the middle, so that a good third of its lower half is just missing. And it looks like rather than having been attacked with claw or blade, this was almost crushed off. So like pinched off by something just truly astronomically in size. Because what could possibly be big enough to break off this big a chunk of a kraken? And that's all you're able to perceive before it sinks into the abyss.
Right. And do they need any help with getting the boat, or are we just?
Yeah, we're gonna just say that happens. That you guys are all kinds of heroic, despite the fact that some of you are a little singed from lightning. Most of you are intact, and seeing you raises the crew's spirits, and you're able to get a bunch of soldiers back on board the other ships. A lot of supplies have been lost, though. Some of the steerage passengers that were there, some of the crew of that ship were dead, but you did save a good chunk of
Now,
Great.
as the crew lauds the van, to whom this kind of success is only but natural, the remaining crew and passengers of the Califar mourn their dead. It is not long before you see land. A glistening, green-covered land, as the Crown's Fury, in the lead now, approaches the shore. Peaceful and majestic bay, a wide bay, absolutely beautiful, and the ship's navigator, kind of a steely-eyed old dwarf, takes down his spyglass and he says, "Aye, there it is. There it is, all right. That's Beswick's Bay. Beswick's Bay. We've sighted her!" And everyone, huzzah goes up around the deck. And it was a tumultuous sea
I shoot less
voyage.
sarcastic sparks out of
Yeah. Enthusiastic sparks. And the boats slowly wave in and or roll into the bay. And as you're looking around, you notice a bay that is a completely untouched wilderness. Or what appears to be an untouched wilderness from your vantage point. And everyone's in such a good mood on the ship, on all the ships, that
aside from the dead people.
Except for the dead people, they're not in a good mood, but everyone else is in a good mood, and that no one really stops and thinks about this much. But you notice the boat's the navigator sort of like stroking his beard in concern as the ship gets closer to the mouth of the Beswick River, which is named for the King Beswick, who was the monarch when the continent was originally discovered, 250 some or more years ago, 300 years ago. The bay was also named after him, and as the river is kind of ends in a wide river with like a floodplain, and it's as they pull into the bay, the navigator is kind of looking a little bit concerned and checking his map, which is an old map with writing in Dwarvish on it and kind of looking for signs. And you notice he looks a little bit perplexed.
What is something wrong?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is the Beswick. I can see the heights and I can see the Hurricane Point over there. I believe that's. But there's no town. There's meant to be a city right here, a town right on the shore, Aq'rum Beach, named for Beswick's fourth daughter. Aq'rum Beach should be right here, and as the ship kind of pulls up, he says, "Aye, that's the Beswick River for sure. For sure, I see its floodplains now." And you guys are not far off shore now, and kind of getting into more shallow waters, and he says, "But there's no Aq'rum Beach. It should be a city of at least a couple thousand people, but..." And you all look, and indeed there is nothing. There's no city by the beach. It's all kind of overgrown dunes.
Yeah, but the fact that there's an island is still an improvement, no?
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes.
would assume they disappeared and perhaps have not reappeared with the rest of the continent.
Yeah, you see, because the island was underwater.
That's
Or
true.
Or vanished.
vanished,
to
or
another
in another
plane,
plane, or
possessed by a
yes,
god,
absolutely,
eaten, I don't know.
yes.
If it was wood,
Sleeping.
it could have rotten.
No.
Are there's trees and things?
Time.
There's like normal
Yes.
vegetation.
Oh, the town up
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Stop.
So as you look around, if you imagine you're sort of with the sea to your back, kind of now you're into this kind of scallop shaped bay, and yeah, there's on all sides of you there's land, and there are trees that have grown up. I mean, yeah, it's as you get close to where Aq'rum Beach should be, it's kind of like a beach on a little bit of a high bluff, and swiftly kind of turns into forest past, maybe football field length of beach and dunes and so forth.
So I do not think this island spent time underwater unless it was a long time ago. Look at the trees.
No, I think it was some sort of magic.
These dimensions or something.
Yeah.
Planes.
Yeah, it could be astral plane.
Planes.
Planes.
That's the worst.
But let us
It is always plains.
stop worrying. I will go out into the forest and find more. I will talk to my friends.
Wait, just hang on, I'm almost done.
So as you sketch it, the captain makes the call. He says, "All right." He gives orders to all the boats to kind of pull up. They reach a certain point where the boats can pretty much sail straight up to the Beswick, which is how, as you would all know from just the months on board the ship, the capital city of the colony. So this is not the city of peace, Agrithian. That's at the center of the continent. But the capital of the crown's colony was a city called Tourmaline, the jewel of the crown. And that would be a couple of days north on the Beswick River. Okay? So how boats would normally get in if they didn't stop at Aq'rum Beach first is they would go up the Beswick and eventually get to Tourmaline. And so that is now what the boats do here, because it is safer to kind of pilot the boats up the river than it would be to leave them there on the bay. And so that is what the boats begin to do. Do you have a question?
I was asking specifically.
Yeah, and as the boats have not docked yet, but as you get about, and everyone's of course rapturous, and everyone's doing it on the Wandertrap's ship. Everyone has rushed to the deck too, and all pretense of following the crew's orders in terms of staying below decks and remaining calm on all the different ships, and and everyone and your other characters who we'll get to later. Everyone experiences this and sees this at the same time and has their own sort of take on it, and it's a beautiful, meaningful moment, because as you've said, this land has reappeared, and it is true. And as the boats come up the Beswick, Bogwood, you see it first, and then the rest of you see it shortly later. The mast of a tall ship and a crown flag on it. And the navigator is looking around and doesn't seem to see it, Bogwood. And but then the ship comes into view, and you see, a ship of the crown, a very recent ship. And the navigator says, Captain, there it is. There's the master's blessing." And the Master's Blessing is about a mile, 2 miles, let's say, up the Beswick, in just a little cove. I know rivers don't really have coves, but kind of, it looks like it was parked here. We'll say parked. It was parked here on purpose. It doesn't look like it's wrecked or anything. It pulled into this area. Parallel parked, yeah. As boats do. And it's still there. And just kind of gently lilting in the soft waves of the river.
It doesn't look damaged.
Does not look damaged in the slightest.
Is the-
from a quick cursory look at it.
The princess is on her ship, yeah?
The princess is actually with you. Her and her husband have really, they know the drill. They know the safest place to be is with you, and they're keeping a respectful distance because they know that when action is required,
Her
you're going to
husband
take.
came with us.
Yep.
Yes.
And he is glued to her side, and also behind them are their two bodyguards, who Lussar and Terrell. They both they maintain like kind of a shadow formation behind the two nobles, and they've been you know these soldiers. One of them is more high-ranking than the other. They're both clad in plate armor, but they take their cues from you. You know that as long as your orders do not endanger the princess, they treat you as though you were their commanding officer, and they're always with them. That's like their sole job is to keep them safe. And just additional muscle for you guys. But yeah, they're all with you.
It occurs to me we got a little excited with the Kraken, and in the future we should make sure someone has eyes on the princess when we are in battle.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, she was taken below decks with the two
Right,
knights the moment that happened. But yeah, it's a point well taken. And Athliel says, "I thank you, Borno. That was a terrifying moment, but somewhat familiar, I believe. I recall a similar situation
Did
where,
you see my sister?
as always, you are stunning."
Quite magnificent, assuredly, yes.
She kind of like.
Have we taken a short rest? It's like
Yes.
Oh yeah, you had the whole day to like kind of chill as the preparations were made to get in there. So you can all go ahead and take a free short rest. And just as a matter of like a point, we're gonna do that fairly regularly where these things can happen off screen, and all you gotta do is ask us, did we have a short rest? And
Yes.
most times we're gonna say yes because we would like to advance things because
Alright. Then I would like to try scrying.
Sure. And remind me, we're still in the boat.
We are still at the moment in the boat, yes.
And are we up the river? Or
We are up the
just
river.
the
We are
mountain?
2 miles up the river.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're on the island, I feel like we should try to find her. Princess has possession.
Yeah, it was a little hairy getting it, from like telling her family, yeah, can we have one of her dresses? But whenever, when the king tells you to give up something, then yeah.
And have I ever met this lady?
You have not. Lady Nephrilia of House Grefex is younger than the princess. The princess is like early 30s, as is her husband. They have 2 kids. Lady Nephrilia is much younger. She's like 18 or 19. So she actually would have been a very small child at the end of your adventuring days.
Okay. Then.
But you do have her garment.
Right, but I don't have hair, right? I just have garment.
Yeah, right. No, it was just a hairy situation. But
All right, great. Then how this works is she makes a wisdom save. She gets a +1 to it because I don't actually know her, but I do have a garment.
all right.
And it's 20.
Okay. You cast scrying in the very familiar way, and you don't get the sense that your spell is blocked at all. It seems like it is probing out in the way that you are accustomed, and yet it does not seem to find a target.
I'm sorry, princess. Nothing.
And she says, do you think it's the barrier that prevented teleportation from outside the island? Is it affecting you here? And it does not seem that way. It seemed like the spell went off normally.
No, it could be that she just resisted. It could be that she's not there. It's hard to say. I could try again tomorrow.
She is very headstrong. I thank you for trying.
I think we need to go examine this boat.
Okay.
It is repair.
Let's go to land, please.
Okay.
I want to be off this.
So at this point in time, the princess agrees, and she brings up the magistrate Latham. Now, the magistrate Latham, you've been introduced to on the boat before. They are a half elf, and they are the appointed they appointed administrator, so the sort of bureaucrat to handle all of the stuff. I mean, the princess and the duke, they give the orders, but the magistrate Latham, it is their duty to kind of just do the thing. And Magistrate Latham is very young, and they seem pleased to be in charge, but maybe a little bit over their head already. You've gotten the sense. But Latham starts to give the commands and says, all right, yes, so we're going to pull the boats over. All the boats are going to be pulled to the side of the river, and everyone may disembark, but I do need all... yes, okay, yes, I do need all passengers to congregate, and please do not separate from us. We are all going to take stock of our supplies, our people, make sure we have everything we need. And as you all disembark, the van will go investigate the boat, but first, we are going to cut back to the Wandertraps. And the Wandertraps are getting off the side of the boat, and you have a moment where all of a sudden, Mama, you find yourself completely alone with you have your livestock and you have your gear, and you have your 4 family members, and there's general milling about and sort of chaos on the side of the boat. What do you do?
And you have your 3 farmhands as well.
Yes, you have your 3 farmhands as well. Fenru and Mr. Church.
So my question is, do we need to ask any permission, or are we just supposed to go find some land and make a farm?
Do you feel it's better to ask forgiveness or permission?
Well, in this particular case, I wouldn't mind having a little bit of direction in case there's an easier way to do things.
Sure. Okay.
Like what were we told when we disembarked the boat?
Well, you know that you have your claim is for a specific plot of land based on the old kind of ancient maps of Aq'rum. You were told that there is a fertile farming valley a little up the river, and that has been deeded to you as part of your effort here. So that is where you know you have to go. But you do see the magistrate is kind of trying to organize the chaos, and he's having people, or they're having people line up and kind of taking inventory because a lot was lost.
Yes, and an hour has gone by, and they are only a few people into the line, and the Wandertraps
we start walking for the claim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mama,
Follow me, everyone.
Mama, someone's gonna have to carry the back end of Pinky, the cow, and that's probably me.
I think so.
So can we bring Pinky with us rather than letting the farmhands take Pinky?
Yeah, I think everyone follow me. I think I know where we're going.
And
start following the map to the claim.
So you're gonna walk away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Along with my children and all of my livestock.
Were there other, I don't know, people our age on the boat?
Were there?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So, I just want to, say goodbye to my friends, but I guess we're in a hurry, because...
Who are you saying goodbye to?
Well...
She means her boyfriend.
No, of course, I would not take
Amethyst
a
is far
boyfriend.
too young for a
Do you have a
boyfriend.
No, of course I do not. That would be so improper. But there was this very nice young man who did help me with my studying once or twice when we were on the ship. And,
Is that what they're calling it now?
Jade, you're not even supposed to be here, and you know that. So why don't you mind yours? Mama,
Did you kiss her on the lips?
Nah, Apple. Of course I did. I'm far too young for that.
You are far too young for that. And darling, we do not have
No, I
time to
know.
dilly-dally saying goodbye to all your little friends. I'm sure you'll see them again. We gotta go. And I start walking.
And as you walk off, and as you guys are bickering, you see that the magistrate Latham kind of seems to like, they're sort of like watching things go and watching their people talk to other people, and then they see you and they say, Miss and she looks for your name, and then they kind of skittle over to you and say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry if it wasn't clear. Where are you going?
To our claim.
Yes, all right, but I don't know if you heard me when I said that we first have to take inventory, and we first have to make sure that all of you are here, and all of your things are here, and anything else that was being carried is here, and this process might take several days. I mean, we are representatives of the crown. We can't have people go scurrying off wherever they're going to go.
Miss, or what is your name?
My name is the Magistrate Latham, and you may refer to me as the Magistrate Latham.
Great, the Magistrate Latham. Look, I really appreciate all the work you're doing around here, but you can see, quite frankly, that we are all accounted for, and we have all of our livestock. We've checked it for ourselves. We're saving you a little time, a little energy, and darling, if you don't mind me saying, the deal is we're here to farm, and all those people here that you're checking in, they need food. And so if we wait another day or 2 or 3, well, that's just 3 more days until everyone's getting what they need.
Provisions will be provisioned for, madam. I assure you, this is the way that things need to be done. I have boxes, and they must be checked, and I have only checked about 3% of the boxes which require to be checked. So if
Well,
you
you're
don't
talking
mind,
to me right now. Can you just check my box?
I don't even know who you are, and you are
I
clearly.
am Aq'rum Wandertrap. I'm right
Well,
there.
see,
and
you're
I
all
know
the way
it.
down at the bottom. This is an alphabetical list. You are all the way at the bottom, and
You're
you
literally
see.
holding your pen, and you've got it right above my name. And can I persuasion or something?
Yeah, go ahead, make a persuasion.
Because I just gotta say, 16.
All right, so
You've got it hovering, like it's right there.
and the magistrate just doesn't seem to know what to do, and then there's calls from behind them saying, magistrate, please, we need that list back, and finally they just seem so flustered that, and they say, I'm checking off your persons. We will still need to go for your provisions, so please kindly wait in line, and we'll get to you when we get to you. And then they turn their back on you and walk away and busy themselves. So they have not fully given you permission, but you are also left alone.
All right.
Well, it seems like we have a couple of moments here. I was wondering if I could just take a look at the process. It's so
Don't you go
fascinating.
anywhere. I'm gonna look around. Does it look like there's anyone else on like a similar potential level of authority who I could talk to?
Yes, there is a.
I can maybe just tell, like, look, I have my provisions.
Sure, there is a deputy, and he is a. I'll have to find him here a second. He is a dragonborn.
Is he cute?
He is big, and he's been relatively mean the entire time. You don't remember his name. His name is Kurdrick. He didn't really like to approach him because he's very like surly, and he wasn't on your boat, but you were introduced to him at the start of the journey.
All right. I go up to him and I say, "Excuse me, sir."
Oh yeah, go for it.
Hey, what do you want?
I'm not meaning to be a bother or anything, but I was just over there and they checked off all our persons, but they haven't checked off our provisions. Are we able to go do our claim and then circle back maybe in a day or two when things have calmed down to just sort of get all the ink on paper that we've got everything we need? I mean, we've checked our personal items already and we've have our people crossed off, so it just feels like a bit of a shame and a mess to sort of be waiting around, just extra people just taking up space, you know?
All right. So this surly dragonborn kind of like looks you up and down. He's like squinting his eyes.
There's not much of me to look up and down.
Yeah, he's mostly down and down. Yeah. And he's kind of like like this guy has been a hard case the whole time. You get the sense it's going to be tricky. And he kind of looks at you and he says, "You all right?"
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And what is your name, sir?
It's Kedrick.
Kendrick? Kendrick?
Kedrick.
Great.
What's your name?
I'm Citrine Wandertrap.
All right. Well, if you survive, I'll see you when you get back out.
Great, thanks so much. Should we come back in a few days to check off our provisions or what have you?
Ma'am, I don't really care. As long as you don't die, I don't care. Come
You're
back.
my kind of fella.
I wish you the
appreciate
best
that.
of luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, come
next,
on, kid.
next, come on down. Next.
Yes.
All right, so the Wandertraps are able to scurry off if that's what you're doing.
Yep.
And
Pinky.
you have your
Along with all of our livestock, all of our provisions.
Right.
Our,
Yeah, let's make a
our,
stealth check for the cows, please. That's it.
yeah.
Our handlers and
And your next step that you will have to do, you realize from your map, is find some way to cross the Beswick River because you are on the east side of the banks and your claim is on the west side. But we will pick that up next time, and we're going to cut back to the van. And the van has gotten off the boat, or off of the Crown's Fury with everyone else, and you have gone, presumably, unless you tell me different, on to the Master's Blessing. Correct?
Actually, yeah. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so you go on the Master's Blessing. What you've realized from a very quick cursory glance is that you've been investigating it. There's no sign of damage to the craft at all. There is the smaller boats, like the rafts, are all missing. So only the boat is here, but none of the sort of like canoes and barks and other things that would be taken. They've all been taken somewhere else. Nobody is on the boat. However, you have not gone. There's one room that you haven't opened, which is the storeroom. So as you've been kind of looking around, that's what you've seen. But from a cursory glance, you're about halfway through your search.
Does it look like there are signs of recent life? Like, are in the rooms that we've looked in, have there been like some kind of clothes or like various debris that just living around would cause?
A minimum. Definitely, you can tell people have been occupying this space, but no signs that anyone's been occupying it for a few months, certainly.
We go into the storeroom.
Yeah, let's say who's going in first?
Bob will go ahead.
Okay, then give me a perception check, Bogwood.
Okay.
Yes, he's perceptive.
And actually, you guys are all you're all there doing the same thing, so you can make it with advantage.
Well, I got a 10.
That's okay. You have advantage.
Yeah,
so.
Make it
but
with
passive is 18. So.
Well, this is an active check though. So
Active
but you
check.
rolled it twice.
No.
Yeah, roll it with advantage. Yeah, it's one of the great ironies that you can get a lower roll. Your passive doesn't really set a floor.
Yeah. 13. Still.
Okay, but I mean, it's. I will say you're not getting the. This is not. You're not going to CSI the place, but you do notice it does not appear. You don't see any signs of a struggle. So it just seems like whatever emptied this boat out, it was done in a relatively orderly and calm fashion.
And the storeroom is empty.
Yeah, largely empty. There's not a ton of stuff there. There is, of course, a darkened corner where you hear. And actually, because your perception was not great, it takes a moment of scouting around. But those of you with dark vision, who I think is just Maccabee, right? Yeah. Oh no, you also have dark vision. Yep,
Yeah.
right. You actually spy in the corner. You hear a raspy noise, and you hear a rattling of a chain in the corner.
Oh no. We go towards it.
Yeah. And as you get closer, those of you who don't have dark vision are able to see. And maybe even Dame Olga brings out her flaming sword so that everyone can see.
Can I cast my little prestidigitation?
Yeah, absolutely. So
and cause a little bit of
you
light?
do. And squinting in the corner, kind of shielding his eyes from the light, is this kind of scrawny, like a very skinny-looking, malnourished human who has kind of a shaggy beard and looks very unkempt and dirty. And he raises his hands, which are manacled together to kind of block the light, and he says,
Who are you? Who are you?
With the Onslaught Vanguard. It's nice to meet you.
And he looks at you and he laughs.
I must be dead. Have I died at last?
You are not dead.
Who
I'm
are
Bogwood,
you?
and this is the Vanguard.
Can I put some healing light on this guy?
Sure.
and he could use it. I mean, he's like, aside from like the sores all over his wrists and ankles, he's got like lesions from like scurvy and that kind of thing, he's looking.
That's
I'm
What
gonna
is
take
your
out my.
name?
my
yeah,
sword.
I
Want me to say that?
I don't know. I'm gonna just try one. All right, 3.
3.
Healing.
3 points. Healings. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It certainly makes him feel better.
I take out my water skin.
Yeah. Okay.
Open your mouth.
Ah,
Don't
and he
touch
go-
it. I'm pouring. No touching. Only pouring.
He gladly does.
Is
And
it wonderful?
yeah.
It does not look well.
Oh.
And yeah, actually, the water does more for him than the healing does. I mean, so some of his sores close up, but really, he was dying of dehydration.
Drink slowly. Small sips.
If you do not, you will throw up. He's very unpleasant.
So you lightly waterboard him, but he he's all right. And after a few minutes of catching his breath, he says, "What was that? What was that water? Was that water?
That was water. Yes.
Yes.
So much better than the rainwater. The rain, here that they left me with tastes so bad.
It is water from the mainland,
Food.
actually.
Food, please, something.
We can question the poor man after he has.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's shackled to the wall. I feel like maybe shackled man.
It
has
is pretty clear,
story.
but we must feed him to get
Yeah,
to
I
know
take
what
out
is
some
going.
bread from my pack and give it to him.
Give him
All right. And he kind of like chows down like he's a little beaver over there and just rips through that bread in a few seconds, begs for more water, and finally, after a minute of satiation, he says, "Well, if you aren't the Onslaught Vanguard, you sure act like him."
No, we are.
We are.
That's who we
Yes.
are.
We
Yeah,
said that
that's-
already.
All right.
But
I
What
did
is
the
your name?
introduction.
And my name is Putney. Putney the Oarsman.
Patni.
put me.
Putney.
Who did this to you, Patni?
Well, you might say I done it to myself.
Can you elaborate?
Sure. Yeah. It was the captain that did it to me, Captain Dalanay. Of course, I brought it on myself. And I, at this point, have no shame. No more shame at all. I brought it on myself, I did, and he chained me here. Had me flogged first, as you can see, and you look and you see, yeah, there's still welts from what look like scars of maybe old flogs, like maybe, months ago. Some have mostly healed over, but still, they definitely left some marks. Left me here to survive for nothing on the rainwater that I could collect in this cup and ale and the scraps they left behind. But the captain said I'd have to contend with the rats, which was fitting for the likes of me, and he has a point.
What did you do?
I have no shame admitting it, ma'am. I am a thief. Before I was Putney the Oarsman, they called me Putney the Thief, and it was a fitting name.
What did you steal?
There was a high-born lady on the boat, there was. There was a beautiful lady, royal-born, and...
Lady Nephrilia?
Sure, as you like, Lady Nephrilia, yeah, beautiful woman. And, a month at board, 2 months at board, it does a certain thing to a man, and certainly didn't take long for a man of me, and she had a gem of bright luster, and, one day when she was sleeping, I couldn't help myself, and I thought, well, if nothing else, we had been so long at sea, saw nothing of land, you understand, and after such a long time, I thought, if nothing else, I'd have this to claim for this journey. Perfect green crystal it was, the size of a bird egg, beautiful thing. And, well, I no longer have it on my person, of course, but I did take it, and they only found it after the Lady Nephrilia had left. She thought she had lost it at sea. It was so broken up, but when we landed, she took off with a third of the crew. Some magic users, a bard, a dwarf warrior, a whole bunch of folks that had come over on the Master's Blessing with us. And they took off into the woods. They were the first to go. Then the captain and his first mate, they found this bright gem that I'd been hiding. I took it, had me beaten to within an inch of my life, and said, I may survive as long as I may survive. Had the storeroom sealed up, and haven't seen anyone since, except for every once in a while my buddy Grendor the oarsman, he'd toss me some food through the side, you see. But,
Still, when was the last time you saw him?
oh no, Grendor I haven't seen in, gosh, two weeks. My sense of time is off.
Where did they go?
Where is everyone on this boat?
Yes, well, as I said, the highborn lady with her people, they decided to immediately head towards the City of Peace, they said. They said it would take them quite a while. There was a map that they had. They said if they headed eastish, like, they'd find a river and a town, I don't recall the name, and then they'd find a road that would take them to the City of Peace. The rest began to build a settlement. They were quite perplexed that there was none waiting for them. And a week in, some scouts that they had sent upriver came back and said that the city of Tourmaline looked to be in good shape. So they found some very interesting things there. There were people living there. And so everyone else decided to take their rafts and rations and head up the Beswick to the Tourmaline.
But they began to build here. first?
They started to build a settlement, and as you kind of got on the boat, you saw the very preliminary signs of that.
Okay.
A few small houses had been erected, nothing more. The beginnings of like an earthen wall of fort. Looks like they were building a fort to the side.
Why did they leave the ship here?
Well, the captain, he seemed taken with the idea of Tourmaline. He seemed to. You have to understand, Captain Delaney, he's a man of great duty. He's a man of great law and order. And he said that it was his duty to leave the ship, which I thought was kind of a strange thing for him to say, if I'm being honest. But he thought it was his duty, and there was a skeleton crew left to kind of continue the building of the fort, Rendor among them. A couple of weeks ago, they stopped coming, and I have no idea what became of them. So to sum this all up, one band of people went with Lady Nephrilia to the city of Grithian. Most of the crew went upriver to Tourmaline, and a small, maybe half dozen people stayed behind with the ship.
But we don't know.
But we don't know where they are.
Okay, cool.
And the lady, or the princess is with you, keeping a distance, to make sure that it's all safe. She comes in, she sees this wretched man on the floor, and she, bends down and takes like the hem of her dress and, kind of wipes away some of the blood from his brow. And she says, "Oh, my dear poor thing, no matter what your crime, this is not right. Please, Bornath, would you please free him? Take him back. We should bring him back for treatment. This is entirely cruel."
Not to bring him
Absolutely.
back with his shackles.
I think he's no danger. I would ask you to set him free and allow him to make his way back to the camp. The rest of you, hearing this man's tale, I believe our course is clear. It seems my cousin, Lady Nephrilia, had the right idea. She proceeded directly to Agrithian. And once the man is escorted above decks, one of the knights takes him up and sees him off, and he's handed off to someone to take him.
And as he's taken off, he breaks down in tears and pledges his apology to the Princess Athliel for beshaming your family, milady, and pledges his fealty to her and to the townsfolk and to his saviors for as long as that may be.
I don't trust that guy.
I
Do not trust him.
I do not trust.
Go ahead and make, tell you what, Soren, why don't you have Sir Bornath make an insight check?
10.
Okay. 10 is, he's very badly beaten, and that's enough to see through any guile there might be. He's actually pretty sincere. Like, he didn't hold anything back. He said he got what he deserved, because he was stealing, like a magic jewel from a royalty. And he actually, and also from experience that the princess kind of has this effect on people, and that he feels pretty bad. So he's taken away, and the princess gathers you around and says, "My friends, I believe that we must make all possible speed to Grithian now." And
That's the direction that Lady
yes,
went.
it is. And my cousin would be traveling by horseback. I assume that she reached her destination. Perhaps the city itself has some sort of protection that prevented you from seeing her.
Yes, says the Duke. Yes.
Even so, I would like to look for, I don't know, a stateroom or wherever she might be staying. A lock of hair, like hair on the, sheets or like
Sure.
toenails or something like that would be helpful.
Yeah, and the
Magic
princess
is
says,
sometimes disgusting. It is just how it
Yeah, I do not like the touch of myself.
right, magic is gross.
No, the human body is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yes,
I've been thinking of
like
getting into
blood
model
on
work.
the
Bogwood is.
I think it's gross.
Anyway, so I would like to.
Yeah, and she will allow that because it seems important. It seems like it might speed things along. But she makes it very clear that she will brook no further delay. That you must be off now. And she asks if any of you have the capacity to teleport the group, to attempt to teleport the group to Agrithian. And I don't think anybody has that
I do not.
spell right. She says, "Very well. It is uncertain. And she looks at her husband, and kind of they squeeze hands.
Yes.
And she leads you off the boat to a quiet remove on the shore. And she says, now she produces from inside her handbag this small crystal snow globe that's on this ornate wrought iron base. And she says, in the time of Aq'rum's population, it was known that the city of Agrithian was the central pillar of peace. And so all the colonies that shared it had one of these, and it allowed teleportation to the city from any location. Its magic has ceased to function, but now that we have reached the shores, it appears that it is active again. I do not know what will happen, but I suggest that we use this to arrive at the city immediately.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Did I find any hair?
Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
You found what you
Yes,
found was
Because that's what the people
You found her
want.
hairbrush. Yeah.
she actually it was a broken hairbrush. It was ivory, but it had cracked. It's also and even the princess is like, oof, ivory. That's kind of cruel. We don't trade in that anymore. But we're gonna replace it.
Yeah.
But you do find it. There's a few strands of her hair in there, so you do have that. You can put a few strands on a animal cruelty hairbrush in your inventory. But so the princess says, if you'll all please join hands, and she steps in the center of the circle, and she holds the snow globe, and she begins to turn a crank, and it starts to play this kind of haunting melody, and she gives it a little shake, and the snow inside begins to fall on a perfect replica of the city of Agrithian. And as that happens, snow starts to fall in your vicinity, and it starts falling thicker and thicker until it obscures your vision. And as the snow clears, you notice it hasn't wet you or made you cold, and a few flurries remain, and you look around and you find that you're in a new place. You see buildings in various states of decay. You see a large central tower, and having been prepped on what to look for, you realize that you are now in the city of Agrithian, in the Crown's district, in the city of Peace.
Well, that was
That
easy.
was easy.
Why
And,
did you ask us if we had teleportation spell?
I was not sure if this would work, and I had preferred to rely on more stable magics, but it seems that no ill effect was produced.
And as you gaze up at the city of Agrithian, just slightly across the banks, we will end episode 1. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for episode 2 coming soon. We want to thank the 20-Sided Store for hosting us. And we'll see you next episode.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you, everybody. That's
Whoa.
amazing. I want to really just say thank you to everyone who tuned in and stuck around to the end. I hope you guys had a fun time enjoying the show. And I want to thank the cast because they were amazing, and we got through. We got to see 2 parties this week. We started, kind of with this world small, and in the coming weeks we will build out. You'll meet next week. You'll meet a new party, and then after that you'll meet another one, and it's very exciting stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we have a minute. If anybody, if you want, we can do some live Q&A if that's of interest. We can also talk about, once again, the Roots Project. If you enjoyed this show, even if you didn't, it's a very, very worthy cause. They are doing amazing work, and if you have it, the wherewithal to contribute a little bit, please go to inclusiveroots.org/donate, and a few bucks could make the difference between a kid going to a life-changing experience. So please consider that if you can. And Tom, what do we have to look forward to next week?
Well, let's see, Adam. I think next week, if I'm correct, that might be episode 2 of Difficult Terrain.
That is correct.
At this exact time. Well, not this exact time.
No,
but 2 hours earlier, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be some
episode 2, and we will see what's going on with the Vanguard as they get to the city, and we will see what's going on with the Wandertraps as they explore the countryside, and we will meet our third party, which will be very, very interesting, and spoiler alert, a lot of fun. I guess there wasn't a spoiler in there, but you know what I mean.
No, it is actually this party that's coming up is a ton of fun. It's an entirely different dynamic from what the other 2 parties have been, and that is just a testament to the quality of our cast because they bring something different to every cast member. So please come back and tell your friends, tweet about it, follow us. We are at Diff Terrain on Twitter and Instagram. You can also search for Difficult Terrain on Facebook. We have an open Facebook group. Please join us. And thank you so much. Tom, anything else?
No, you'll be hearing from us. Stick around for we're gonna raid.
Oh yeah, we're gonna raid.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much.
Okay, bye. We're raiding. Come with us.
Raid. Woo! All right, Lauren. Thank you so much. That was amazing.